welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 206. An interview with Elliot Coll, Retrofuture, TV celebrity, and Mr. Beast's personal Game Boy modder, of all things. I mean, that's a lofty title for your CV, if anything, Elliot. With me, George, and this week joined by RGT, and the aforementioned Elliot, Retrofutures to my Retro Jurassic. How's it going, gentlemen?
Going very well, thank you. How are you, George?
I'm feeling a little bit old and out of touch, surrounded by you two young bucks. I don't even...
I'm actually 40.
Wow, okay. Well, you're making me feel slightly less aged, but I something tells me you're lying through the back of your teeth.
That intro was incredible. What? I mean, I would like to read that myself, like just to pep talk myself every morning. That was insane. That is not how I consider myself every day in the slightest bit. I'm like making a bowl of cereal in my underwear and just like, putting the bins out. Not in my underwear, but TV celebrity. Or what was it you said? Say that again, one more time.
Get ready for the hype train. Retrofuture, TV celebrity, and Mr. Beast's personal Game Boy modder.
Oh my goodness me.
All of those true statements, Elliot, take it. As I said to you off air, I have been living in your bin.
For weeks.
And I found that many empty packets of Mr. Beast chocolate bar that I know that's what's been sustaining your mortal coil. I guess he paid you in that, did he?
Yeah, that's it. There's a whole load of rare tat that gets thrown in that bin. If people found out where I live, it would be a disaster.
Well, I crawled out with underneath my arm with two of the GBA TV adapters. I know they're not working, but they look good. I
am impressed with how much research. Have you done this all like 5 minutes before me coming on, or have you genuinely been like scouring every single little corner of my?
Well, I got a restraining order. I got a restraining order against me.
Yeah, you were asking me about NDAs. Like, we need to make one happen.
Yeah, well, remember that court case? Well, that was George.
Yeah, that was me. And Ashens has got a restraining order on me. I'm only allowed. I think I'm allowed within 2 miles of Norwich city centre. And anything where he is, I'm not allowed to go. So I'm ready to add you to the list of celebrities, if I may be so bold, that I'm allowed nowhere near. Ross Kemp, I'm not allowed within 600 yards of him.
What happened there? What was the story with Ross Kemp?
I dressed up as him. Tried to open a local Methodist chapel as him.
Your looks are uncanny. You didn't actually need to dress up.
I don't know where. Well, okay. I didn't realise.
Ross Kim.
Ashens kicked me in the gonads by making me de-hat myself, where I look like a failed 70s wrestler with an addiction to a niche lager from the 80s, which I'm imagining you probably don't know about. So it was all a little bit. Anyway. Welcome to the show, Elliot. Thank you for joining us. As I said to you off air, a show that struggles to break the meniscus of relevance, but we're hoping that you don't feel too out the way coming on here. We're a little bit of a bizarre gaggle. We're not joined this week by our American co-hosts. I believe they're probably sunning themselves and wearing a pair of Trump's new sneakers each. That'll date the show, won't it? When people are watching this in 2025 or 2050, like, what is this?
You said episode 209, was it? What was it?
206.
206. That is a massive accomplishment, regardless of anything else. That's a huge accomplishment. So I would say a very well-established podcast.
Very kind of you to say. We'll pay you.
Even the ocean can wear away cobalt over a period of millennia.
Where did you get these from?
That's all I'm going to say on the subject. Anyway, nice of you. Let's skip straight to the meat and veg. Nice of you to join us, Elliot. Thank you very much for coming on. Have you had a good week? You were talking about your bike test off air.
Yes. Yeah, I have been. I've had a great week. I've been working a lot on my second channel. That's what I've been doing most recently. And then I've had my motorcycle course that I've been going on, which has just been. I was just saying off before we started. I'm from Jersey, Channel Islands, and the speed limit in Jersey is 40 miles per hour. And I've got a couple of motorcycles, but they're classic bikes with very small engines that you kind of just want to trot along, get a coffee, and then go home. Whereas this course, they sit you down on a 700cc motorcycle and tell you to just go. And then I was going too slow. I had the guy in my ear telling me to go faster. It's raining. There's potholes on the floor. I want to be upright, because if I'm going around a corner and the floor's wet and a manhole covers just in front of me, it's not going to end well. So that's been very intense. And then other than that, just been preparing for a mission to Canada next week for a video, which is very exciting.
That is exciting. What a beautiful country to get to go to.
Right, it's cool.
Maybe I could recommend buying a pair of handlebars, gaffer taping a Game Gear and Super Hang-On to them, and just careering around your house.
What was that? What was that old toy that the old race? What was that?
There was a Tomy one called, I think it was called the Turbo Racer.
Oh, that was it.
I had
Stuart
that as a kid. Yeah,
Stuart made a video on it.
Yeah.
It's basically a rotating backlit screen that you kind of weave a car on a plate through.
Oh, no,
cool.
someone hacked it, didn't they, and put outrun in. So you could drive it with outrun with your little steering wheel.
That is epic.
That's the sort of talk I want pre-bedtime, RGT, if you know what I'm saying. That's a little bit too sexy. A Tomy Turbo Racer with an outrun mod slapped in it.
There's a graphical render here of what a potential Tomy race wheel dock could look like for a phone, so that you could play racing games on your phone in a Tomy Turbo Racer styled dock. That looks really damn cool.
Wow.
I hope they make that happen.
Another reason why I probably ought to buy a 3D printer.
I know. Add it to the list.
I could be playing that this afternoon. Absolutely.
We wouldn't have to spend so much money on Tupperware. We could just print it ourselves.
Before RGT's Mega Sled contract kicks in, I better ask him how he's doing. RGT, let me fan the flames of your success. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, doing well. Been a busy week work-wise, and busy behind the scenes, haven't we, with our subscriptions and bits and pieces, getting ready for them, because that's coming to the end of that. So
let's just, Elliot, if we may be a little bit self-indulgent, we've got an early adopters program running at the moment for our support tiers. Early adopters, they can join for any price, and they can get the full package. So it's a very generous window of time for them to get on board. I suppose the only people I really need to reach out to, I'm talking about you walking down the street with your headphones in. You're not on the Discord. You're one of those silent but violent. Actually, that's what you are. You're a silent but violent. You've been listening to the show every single episode, and if a celebrity that says that's a hallmark of success, surviving for 206 episodes, you're involved in every single step and misutterance by me along the way. Don't you think for £3, it's actually $3, which is probably £2.70. I can't do the maths for other countries, so if you're one of our European listeners or American listeners, well, actually, the Americans trade in dollars, so it's simple maths for them. Sit down, calm down, matey in LA. But if you want to join us and help us along the way and be part of this box of goodies we've got in it, Elliot, let's just run this by you, because you are what I would say a hallmark of quality, if ever there was one.
Oh, my goodness.
In our early adopter box, you're going to get an early adopter t-shirt with exclusive artwork. You're going to get an early adopter wooden fridge magnet. Oh, yeah. No messing about here.
That's fantastic.
You're going to get the UCP lanyard.
No way.
You're going to get a cassette tape of your episode of choice.
What?
Boom. Hold
cassette
everything
cassette.
now. Stop recording now.
Let me get my Walkman. Can I order every episode on cassette so that I can just listen to it on that and not Spotify?
If that
we need to find some cassettes.
Yes.
We need to be on stock from somewhere.
Mumsy, I thought we had tapped into the last vein of cassettes available for the early adopter packages. Get in your car, go to the charity shop, buy up all of the audio books. We'll tip X amount. Elliot needs tapes. I don't know what you're going to do. Just do something.
We'll ring
Shiver
up.
does.
We'll ring
He's
up all the
criticised.
quarries and get them to find more ferrite, and then we can just bash them out ourselves.
Wow. Someone with shares in a ferrite mine just sat up. He's like, hang on a minute, Corey, we're going to afford the Christmas lunch this year.
They're bringing them back. It's the new vinyl.
The miner,
Financial Times headline: ferrite through the roof. Invest now.
the miner from The Incredibles is back in business again.
So we're all good. So anyone who knows the show knows that the next question on everybody's lips, and I'm doing okay, RGT, don't you worry about it, pal. The question on everybody's lips is what you've been playing, and obviously we'll direct that towards I'm going to let him take a moment of his sumptuous, warm, not boiling victual, so he can compose himself. As I ask Elliot, what have you been playing this gaming week?
Well, I have been playing. I've been doing a streaming little series on my second channel on Link's Awakening DX, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I've been playing it on the Game Boy, and it's just such a perfect game. It's just absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I'm sure everyone's probably played it. And it's one of those games where you can just play it over and over and over again, and kind of never gets boring. But yeah, that is what I've been playing. Amongst that, I've also been playing fake Pokemon games, which is a video that I made as well. That was interesting. So I've been playing that. There was a kind of I don't know if it was a reskinned game of something already existing, or if they just started something new from scratch and then took sprites and sounds from other games. I don't really know, but it was a Pokemon sort of knockoff from China that my friend ordered me from directly from China, from Taobao. And yeah, that's what I've been playing pretty much. Just those, nothing too. I did warn you. I'd love to tell you I've been playing something more interesting and unique, but no, it's.
I genuinely don't think there's much more unique than that. So you definitely win on that.
True.
Is there anything that you want to sort of share about your insights of these said games and clones and copies you've been playing, or is that you kind of like less said, soonest mended?
Well, I mean, I'm new to streaming, so I have been playing the games whilst kind of taking the input from my viewers, which has been really quite an interesting and unique experience to kind of play a game with people live. So that's been really great. I love the music in in Link's Awakening, and there's something very nostalgic about it for me because it was one of the first like classic Game Boy games that I played as a kid that made me be obsessed with the older Game Boys, not just the ones that I grew up playing with. And every single time you get a new instrument for the Windfish, for the symphony, the orchestra, that is like really quite a moment. It's really quite a moment, and I like to try and I share it with the people watching the stream. I'm like, guys, I dim all the lights in my studio, and I tell everyone to close their eyes and just like imagine being a kid again playing this game when you're less responsibilities in the world. Like there's less responsibility in your life. You don't know as much about the world and existence, and it's just you're taking it all in as if you would as a child. And like, there's something just amazing when you finally pick up that instrument and it plays its little melody, and then you carry on about you get your in fact, you get the heart first, don't you? But then you play the instrument and then you carry on, and it's just like, it's such a great game. It's such a great game, and it's so exciting always. It's such an adventure. Like, it is such an adventure. Even though I've played it so many times, never gets old. Can't tell you much about the Pokemon one. That one was rather bad, if I'm honest with you.
Okay. It's interesting that you say about that sort of building towards a symphony in that game, because as you said that, you reminded me of the fact that I think it's Mario Galaxy 1. The music starts off very very few instruments, but as you progress through the game and get more stars, it starts to really swell in full orchestral movement. So that's something they've obviously seen the legs in and continued with. So that's beautiful.
It's one of the many things that Nintendo just gets very right is the kind of the atmosphere that they create with stuff. And I mean, it's not exclusive to Nintendo. Like one of my favorite soundtracks to any game of all time is Tetris Effect, the VR game. Unbelievable. And it's just that kind of escapism that is that you kind of look for in a game. And when the soundtrack is amazing too, it's just great.
Nice. Okay. Well, you talk of atmosphere. Let's go over to someone who kills it like an astronaut who left the door open. RGT, what you been?
Wow, what an intro. What an intro.
RGT, what you been playing?
Kills it like an astronaut that's left the door open.
As I was halfway
Marvellous.
through that sentence, I was like, that's actually probably not that endearing, really, is it? Oh,
No,
God.
no, not at all.
Do you come up with these on the spot?
These are all in his head, honestly.
Sadly, I do. Yeah.
And he talks like this when we're talking on the phone during the week. It's just all in his head. Yeah. I don't know how he does it.
To be honest, breaking free of the restraints is probably my toughest object that day. RGT, tell me about these wonderful games you've been caressing this week.
You got me back on Horizon Zero Dawn.
Sorry for that.
No, it's all right. I've been absolutely because I said this last week on the show with Rowan. Never clicked with me the first couple of times I played it, but now it's there. So I'm 43, 45 hours in. And I've took your advice, so I've cut off from the main story and nipped up to the Frozen Wilds to do the DLC.
Ooh,
so
interesting.
I'm a couple of hours into that at the moment.
That climb transition's pretty slick, actually, for a bit of DLC, isn't it?
Yeah, you wouldn't know. You just think that's an extra area of the game, which it is, but it wasn't a DLC. A lot of DLC you wouldn't know.
No,
but even so. They tried to divert me back by saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be going up there. You should be concentrating on this mission." Blah 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 blah. And then, so I'm up to level 41, I believe now. So
okay, so you should be pretty strong enough for up there.
Yeah. So
challenge picks up though, doesn't it, with those berserker bears and things?
Yeah. But brilliant, absolutely loving that. And as I finished Halo 2, me and my brother-in-law. It was RPG Chef Sam on the Discord. He said he's been watching the Halo series.
Does he like role-playing games or rocket-propelled grenades? Because he's a bit of a strange, dangerous character, isn't he? I wouldn't like to make the assumption myself.
No, it's definitely RPGs he likes, not
rocket-propelled grenades. Yeah, okay.
So, but he's been watching the Halo series and said, "Oh, come on, I've never played Halo 3. Should we play it?" So we had the same day off. We got stuck into that. We done 7 of the 9 missions. We nearly completed it in a day.
Yeah.
So I've only got 2 missions left. This is only about an 8 or 9 hour experience, but really enjoying that. Still a Master Chief collection on Series
There's
X.
something about the art style in 3 and just the general layout of the levels and the enjoyment of it that I mean, it's been a while since I've played it, a hot minute, one has to say, but
yeah.
It's pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's kind of got like a pastel-y look compared to its predecessors. I don't know how that manifests. It's in the...
No, it has. It looks phenomenal in 4K. Upscaled to 4K looks really good. They haven't reworked the cutscenes like they did in 2, where they almost made them a movie in 2 on a Master Chief Collection. This is more just the original cutscenes, but still good, continuing the story along. And, I mean, 8 to 9 hours, a lot of people would say that's a short for story mode, but that's perfect for me. Keeps the story going and we hopefully will finish it maybe this week, next week when we get together and get on to Halo 4 and carry the series going on there. Nice. I have started the Eastwood DLC.
Oh, tell me about that, because that had that farming element to it, didn't it?
After we spoke about that in the game, I thought I've got to download that on the Switch. So downloaded DLC. I've only played about an hour and a half, 2 hours of it, and it's really good. It's got at the moment, I would say, a toned down Stardew feel, very similar to Stardew, but a toned down feel, but with story elements of Eastwood.
Nice.
So you'll have a few of the characters there, and you'll have to do missions by growing stuff and exploring this area where you are. Really relaxing, really lovely little game. It's so nice to be back in that world. And like Elliot was saying about soundtracks, the soundtrack and the sound effects in Eastwood is so fantastic. That's so nice to be back in that world again.
I tell you what, it's a beautiful game that you recommended, and it took me completely by, completely sideways. I think it's an absolutely glorious piece of kit. And this DLC was, not being funny, but it was right up our street with that farming element, wasn't it? Oh,
Exactly.
Yes, please, mummy.
And it's just like we said before of the game. Like we said before with the game, it is, you can tell there was love put into that game by the developers. The graphics, the characters, the story, the way it plays, everything is just. I don't know what it is. It ticks me, and I love being back in that world. So yeah,
Nice.
and for £4, I mean,
Is that on the Switch? Is it?
Yeah,
It is, yeah.
Wow.
Have you played Eastwood, Elliot?
I haven't, but I've
Eastwood
just been
is-
googling it. That looks right up my street, 100%.
Oh, Eastwood.
You would like
Yeah,
Did you ever play
phenomenal.
Don't Starve?
No,
I haven't played it, but I'm
I've
aware
heard
of
of
it. That's the one with the sort of black and white aesthetic, isn't it?
It's not. It's not so much black and white. It's kind of that. Is it Nightmare Before Christmas? It's just kind of that spooky. Wait, is it Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah. It's just that kind of like spooky, spooky kind of aesthetic. But it's very much that like same dim lighting kind of. It just reminded me of it.
I don't want to spoil Eastwood too much, but you think that's how it's going to be, and then all of a sudden it's literally an explosion of colour, like nothing you've seen before. It's really
it looks
quite
fantastic. And if you're telling me there's a soundtrack to kind of really go along with it, then that looks like a cup of tea and a good time right there. I'm definitely going to get that after this for sure.
That's definitely in my top 3 games I've ever played on the Switch.
Wow.
Nice. Buy some
Wow.
shares in the Eastwood studio.
It's phenomenal game. It is so good.
Yeah,
Really,
and I think if you can wait for the physical copy, it comes with a set of really minded anyway, and I think most of them have got this in. Is that sticker set RGT? Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, it does. I think, yeah.
So we'll get it digital, and then if it grabs you can probably.
I'm not saying that
grab
DLC.
the
I mean,
physical.
that's $3.99.
That's unbelievable.
They could have sold
considering-
that as a separate game. They could have sold that as a completely separate follow-on to Eastwood and
Nice.
sold that for £10-12. They haven't. They've done it as an add-on for $3.99. And it's so good because that's a whole nother game there, just in that engine, in that world. So yeah, very good. Can't recommend that enough. And also been playing your recommendation for my challenge.
Do I have to do the song now, or did we never come up with? I don't
think you ever come
let
up
us know
with
in the
one.
dis.
I don't think you did you? Challenge.
I've tried various different knockoffs. It's never going to be Boone theme, is it? That you're famous for, but
no. But yeah, Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future on the Dreamcast. I have been playing this week.
Are you ready to? Is now the time, or are you going to come back to us next week?
Yeah, we can talk now if you want briefly about
Okay.
it. You said to me you made sure that I had to play the tutorial because it's quite a long one to get into
Not just the intro. Tom Baker waffles on, doesn't he? Like he's trying to get his paycheck up on words said rather than actual content delivered, and it's a bit of a tough ask, isn't it, at the start of Echo? So I just want to be a dolphin, but I'm sitting here watching Space Aliens and Tom Baker narrate bad CGI intro. If I'm honest,
that's the only. I thought the story was odd and different. Very, very odd story. Graphically looks superb.
Have you ever sucked off a killer whale, Elliot? Because that's what the aliens do in this.
That's my standard Wednesday night kind of affair.
RGT, were you surprised by all the fish?
I was surprised what you just said. Yeah, but
they get sucked off up into the spaceship.
Yeah, it was very, very odd. I'm trying to divert away from that as quick as possible. It was, graphically very good.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the best ones you recommended to me. I actually loved this game, and I played past the tutorial. I'm about another hour into the game, and
have you seen the blue whale and its calf yet? Or
yes, I've rescued the calf. I've gone from that area. I'm into the next area now.
Oh, look at bigger gamer boy.
Bigger boy
You'll
now.
have this finished.
Well, it's steady. There's a lot of levels, but no, this is, and I didn't pay much for this complete copy. I think I only paid about 12.
Original
£14.
hardware, so Dreamcast version.
Yes, Dreamcast version, original hardware. But I do play it on the bigger TV, so I've got an HDMI, the upscaling cable for it.
How were the textures holding up? Because my biggest concern was textures. At the time, they looked great, but time isn't always kind to textures.
Yeah, it looks really good. Obviously, under the sea, you can get away with a bit more because you've got the misty sea, so you can cover up the pop-in a bit more. But
Yeah.
look, it does look very good. Plays really well. Controls a bit finicky at first, but you get used to them. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I should be playing more of that this week. And the
Are
only
you
thing
ready for you? Does that mean you're ready for your next recommendation?
is this going to be a really random one this time?
No, this is one
It's
you will
not going to be
thank me
another
for.
Aquanaut holiday, is it?
No.
Oh, please.
You got any family members' birthday or Christmases coming up? Because I don't think they'll be getting any presents. Because it's Africa, aka Hakuna Matata, which is the version you need to find the English language Chinese port.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I need to set a low note to get this.
It's $100. Come on.
Yeah.
The collection will thank you for it.
I knew you. I'm surprised you didn't come up with this one sooner because I know you have.
Listen, if you're good ladies listening, it's now time for me to confess that I've been setting you these challenges so you can get the higher price games that she would normally say no to because it's all part of research for the show.
Oh, yeah, she does listen and she does know, and that's why I'm doing overtime.
Mumsy, have you finished your night school course in podcast editing? Yes, we'll leave it in.
Yeah. Okay, Africa. I know I've got to try and source that.
Hakuna Matata, I think, is the version you've got to find.
What?
On the PlayStation 3, they had this quite interesting tech demo stroke game, which is based on the plains of Africa. And you're basically a wildlife photographer. And you go around these plains waiting for that perfect moment that you snap the shot of the hippo yawning.
Come on. That looks fantastic.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
We're public service broadcast. That's what we're here for.
If people haven't become a member of this podcast yet, it's a mystery to me.
Write that
mystery
down.
to us.
It's a mystery to everyone involved with the
You're
show,
getting
Elliot.
game recommendations like Hakuna Matata. There's one right here on eBay for £60.
Holy moly. The collection's dropped. It's time to get involved in it. One of the best things I found out as I played it is you start off with quite a rudimentary camera, but as you get through, the actual quality of your pictures improves because the cameras get better. So it's all blurry to start with and a bit.
Does your camera run out of battery in Africa and you have to go back to the only charging port on the
that has
on the Serengeti?
It does have an element of truth to it. Yeah.
It's just you upgrade it. You upgrade the solar panel array to charge your battery slightly quicker.
I think that's a little bit more technologically advanced than they were probably prepared for. But
don't spoil it because my hopes are high for Hakuna Matata right now.
Considering there's some things you've welcomed into your collection, I think this would be probably the most level-headed purchase you ever made.
No, it looks fantastic. I love games where you kind of can't quite work out when they thought it was going to be a good idea.
Yeah, they're pretty much all the ones he suggests to me, really.
Or did they get so far in when they realised it wasn't a great idea that they couldn't turn back and they just had to finish it anyway?
I think in one of the E3 PS3 debutante showings, Africa was used to kind of show the texture level and the scale of graphical fidelity that they could achieve. But then that got sort of steamrolled into a game itself. The game does fall away at times. It is sort of gated behind areas that you have to progress through. And
is there a good soundtrack?
The sounds of the Serengeti is all you need.
Oh, right. Well, I'm buying this game. I'm definitely buying this game. I'm gonna light my Serengeti candle and just imagine I'm there.
I can't even imagine
Serengeti
what's in a.
It's just grass, zebra dung, and yeah, a bit of Serengeti breeze air. You know, it's just.
Well, if you want to know the
got it from Dunelm.
But George, George has selected for me so far, I've had G1 Jockey, I've had Aquanauts Holiday, Echo the Dolphin Defenders of Time, and now Africa. So they're
You're forgetting
random.
you're forgetting the one that started it all off, the granddaddy of them all, G1 Jockey.
I did say G1 Jockey.
Oh, sorry, I decided to
Apologies,
neglect that. G1 Jockey is quite possibly the best horse racing breeding game ever made. If such a thing is hunted by gamers on a daily basis, probably not.
Which actually is actually stuck to me now. Which is why when we had a local meet-up with some of the listeners a few weeks back, they'd even bought me G1 Jockey 3 as a gift because they want.
Wow, what platform was this?
PlayStation 2. That was Digital Monkery.
Oh, that's a really good version of it as well.
Bada Bing Stardo. When we met up with them, they had actually bought that for me as a gift. But I think it was on the.
Hang on a minute. They threw
I
gifts at your feet and carried you around in a wicker bed chair.
I told you I'm the popular one. You're the voice. I'm the face.
You're good looking. You're more popular. You've got bigger biceps than me. Honestly, he showed me his bicep earlier off camera, and I honestly thought an elephant had seen some Play Elephant magazine and it had gone through the roof. There were veins popping and all sorts. Guy's an absolute machine. What have I been playing?
Can be within a 1 mile radius of Ross Kemp.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, before we get on to what you've been playing, I'll just quickly say we've had an updated leaderboard on Challenge Accepted on the Discord.
Why do I always have to wait? For the listeners, I'll wait.
Yes. Thank you. Don't interrupt again. So this
You're
week,
my real dad.
This month, you interrupted again. This month is Pac-Man, the original Pac-Man, highest score on One Life. You can play it on what you want, emulation or arcade, whatever. And we have an updated table at the moment, which, no surprise, Ginger's top.
My red-headed stepson.
Yeah, he got to board 3 on One Life and has a 20,960 score, which is impressive.
He's not a real person, is he? I think his synapses have been welded to a pad or something bizarre. He's like that woman at the end of Superman 3.
But we've got Tingle Turner in second with 17,190. Marathon Gaiman, who was top for a while there. Scott, 11,660. Boba's in fourth with 10,340. Digital Monkery, 8,800. Then we go down to Gaiman Graham, Mrs. Digital Monkery, and Fat Zangief. So, and yes, I do apologise because I still haven't uploaded a score yet, but I will this week. I have been reminded there's only 1 week left.
As I say every week, RGT, those that can game. Those that can't, do podcasts.
Exactly.
That's why we're not in the league.
Exactly. But yeah, if you're interested in that, jump on our Discord. Challenge Accepted. We have a new challenge every month, kindly done by Digital Monkery, and they'll be quick nip in and nip out challenges. So nothing that's like a full playthrough of a game. They're quick, high score challenges. We've had international track and field, longest javelin throw on the PS1. You know, them sort of, Mario Kart. Was at the baby park, 7 laps. You have to do it as quick as you can, and they're all just little quick jump in, jump out games. Great fun. So if you want to,
you got a feel for Digital Monkery. I mean, I admire his craft. He's put this together and he's united the community around him in this high scores challenge.
Yes,
he gives himself a month's head start to get good at a game, launches the new league, and then doesn't win it. I think he's going to have to pick something a little bit more obscure this time around. Something that maybe quickest person to finish Monkey Island or something like that. Even though Roast Space Monk, hang on a minute. Roast Space Monk's just overtaken my own mouth. He might give him a run on the wire for that one, but maybe that's what it should be this week.
Yeah. So what you're trying to say, Digital Monkery is having a month's practice and trying to.
That's what I'd do.
I know, but we're not all like you, so he's probably a bit more honest. But
I've told you, I don't like being the bad guy now. There was a time where I was the face of the show and I was the nice guy, and now I'm like this sort of, the law of the show was developed where I'm some sort of evil overlord. I'll lean into it.
How times have changed.
I was the face of the merchandise back in the day. Now look at me.
You're not now.
Okay. What have I told you what I've been playing, or should we just bin it? Because no one really wants to know what I've been playing.
No, I suppose we better keep to the show format. Yeah, go on in. What have you been playing?
Wow, the excitement.
I hate this.
Go on, get out of the way.
I don't even know anymore. Oh, I'll tell you what I've been playing. Last of Us Part 2 remaster on PS5. I'm just enjoying playing through that again. I think the story is just as informative as it was. It's emotional. It's heartrending. It's interesting to play it through again for the third or fourth time with the sort of knowledge of the full understanding of the story. In terms of having played 2 so many times, it probably doesn't have the resonance, but certain key little bits that you maybe didn't notice before suddenly start to play into your sort of overall evaluation. And as I said back in the day when we did a review for this and a subsequent defense of the artwork, it's still a wonderful piece of storytelling, very emotional, and certainly deserves to be held up for high praise. It's a shame that the internet sort of donkey kicked it a little bit as a result of some of the leaks, but I think once you've played the full breadth of it, it certainly leaves a mark on you, that's for sure. In terms of like back in it with Part 1 remake, yeah, pretty seamless. I still think 2 looks a better game, if I'm honest with you. In terms of what else have I been playing? I've been playing a lot of Yakuza, Like a Dragon. I need to get that done because I've got Infinite Wealth sat on the shelf purring at me, slightly scratching at me, if I'm honest. I'm eager to get into that because it looks very exciting. One thing I won't be doing, I said it before, I won't be playing an English dub version of Yakuza again. It feels like I'm playing an episode of Carry On.
Rose Space Monk was very upset with you for that.
Listen, it was a new thing. I thought I'd try it. Thought I'd dip my toe in the water, see what it's like. There's voice artists I've never heard. And I thought, let's give it a go. Like I say, I won't be doing it again. They're not bad performances, but in my mind, Yakuza was all these hard-ass gangsters basically shouting at each other. When you hear the English dub, well, it sounds like Kenneth James is having an argument with himself, and that's not that great, to be honest with you. So, and some of the darkness is lost. You know, when the Japanese man says you shouldn't be doing this, you're like, oh, crikey, that sounds terrifying. When you hear the English version of that same traffic warden telling you, you kind of just want to laugh and dismiss him, if I'm honest with you. So I don't know if the thing is, it plays out way more as a comedy now. Although I got comedic undertones before, with the English voice acting, it reeks of comedy, and there are some funny moments. Obviously, there's the whole men dressing as babies scenario that's back, and a few of the side stories have had me very tickled.
So I was just laughing at Elliot's face as soon as you said men dressed as I'm just as confused. I never played the Yakuza game.
Get on the Yakuza train, Elliot. It's not too late for you. Well, you've probably been to Japan, haven't you? Which we might get into. But so you know a little bit more, one presumes, of the Japanese culture.
I've seen many men dressed up as babies.
Just leave it there. I think perfect. That little bit of intrigue. But they're a lot more relaxed with all that sort of strangeness, if I'm honest with you, and it does permeate through into the games. I've been trying to think what else I've been sort of tooling around with, really, but my memory escapes me. I don't think I'll tell you one thing that's terrifying. I don't think I've broken out the Switch in anger in at least a month. Easily.
Wow.
The hype train died.
So all the Nintendo caps and T-shirts and Mario socks.
Yeah,
onesie.
I had the slippers, the posing pouch, the mankini,
the bed sheets. Definitely the bed sheets. Each pillow is a different Joy-Con. That better be a real thing, otherwise Nintendo.
I was going to say, I want them.
They need to.
I'm googling them. Pillow Joy-Cons.
Pillow Joy-Cons.
I want them.
Wow. Velcro to the side of your duvet, and then at night time you just use them as pillows. Perfect. Well, I think that's that all out the way.
The blanket's just a screen protector.
Oh, wow. Tempered glass.
Wait a minute. That might not work.
This is a business idea. Talk off air, Ed. Talk off air.
This is polythene.
Yeah.
We did a bit of a mini beg. It probably got lost. I'm not very good at, asking people to support us. I probably should be, really, but, I only want people to come who can afford it, and I only want people to come who think we deserve it. And we've been overwhelmed by the level of support that we've got. But we are just illustrating that this is the one last time that you'll get all this ramble in a box, including the cassette tape that seems to have set Elliot's jaw on the floor, and ferrite stock prices searching for the skies.
I genuinely love cassette tapes. Like, I have a stash of them over there and about 5 Walkmans. I don't know if you
Are
Got
we
any
going to
blank
get
ones
into
you wanna
this?
get
Because
rid
I
of?
like collecting cassettes as well.
Hang on.
And VHSs. Get them, Elliot. Get them now. This is how we do an interview on the UCP. Oh, my mini collection
Oh, look at that.
comes in a Sonic Sound Zone case.
That's cool. That is cool. I
Don't
was just
judge
gonna-
my musical choices, though, because...
Oh, wow.
These are the Walkmans.
Oh!
I watched a video on them when you were doing those.
No
That's-
way.
They're the proper Walkmans, though. I mean...
They are
This is
so
what they
cool.
used for the prototype. This is the pressman that they supposedly. There's a book called Made in Japan, which is about. Is it Akio Morita?
Where do you find all this gear?
Do you know the last Walkman I found it in a charity shop in town. It was brand new for £3, but it wasn't actually an official Walkman. It was an Alba one.
Oh,
Yeah. So I listened to my Red Dwarf
A mobile
audio
cassette
books on an
player.
Alba one. Yeah, mobile cassette player. So it's not an original Walkman, but
a personal cassette stereo.
yeah, stereo sound.
I tell you what, though,
Wow.
some of those
I
latter
just accidentally-
generation,
Sorry,
you just
Really had a
rolled
heart
over your
attack.
£40,000 Game
Every
Boy.
now and again, my foot catches that lever on my chair that makes me go down. I just crush my foot and have a heart attack at the same time. It's great. It reminds me I'm still alive, which you need.
On this show, that was probably the right moment to inject yourself with that bodily generated adrenaline. I was mid waffle about the late generation personal cassette players or Walkmans that all these different companies made. They got them down to being literally no bigger than a cassette case itself. Some of them are so intricate. I've got a couple of mini disc players, and they're that level of intricacy in terms of cassette door and the way it folds within itself. Elliot's jumped up.
It's gone again.
He's off to get his
I bet he
mini disc
gets.
player.
I bet he gets the sports one, the yellow one. Have you got that sports yellow one, Elliot?
I haven't, but what I have got is what you were talking about.
The mini disc player.
Well, not the mini disc player. This is a cassette tape,
No way.
cassette tape
I
size.
never
That's
realised
what
they
I'm
went that
talking about.
small.
And then I've also got this one.
Ooh.
Oh,
So for the audio listeners, that's a cassette boy, and it's basically a Game Boy, very smallly
Right.
repackaged into a Walkman case. I tell you what, you would have felt like an absolute Bobby Dazzler walking down the street with that on the belt loop.
that, yeah. And then
Would now.
with the Game Boy in hand as well.
oh.
Oh,
It's a wonder I'm single.
a question I ask myself on a daily basis. But, I ask myself this from the security of a pile of games and tat. So, you got to feel safe within it. RGT's built himself a small extension.
I'm covering it up.
Out of
I'm
his
covering
tat.
it up.
No, I'm not taking you out for dinner. I just bought the cassette boy.
Well, we've got all that out the way. Now let's get stuck into the reason why most of Elliot's fans are here, really, for a behind the scenes, in-depth life expose.
Oh God.
I've been living in his bin, so it's
Yeah, be afraid. Be very afraid.
so the prawn
you
vol-au-vents
can
that
just
you didn't
come
eat on
in.
Wednesday.
The kettle's boiled. You don't have to be in the bin. I've told you.
That's what the
I know
echo
that.
is.
It was very kind of you, but it's kind of where I feel I belong. It
I
makes me
understand
feel-
that, but I said you can have the bin in the living room as well, so you can still be in your comfort zone, but at least be in the warmth.
I didn't know what to be honest, Elliot, it's been a long time since I've been extended that kindness.
Right.
So I didn't know what to do with it.
Well, that's something we probably need to talk about first, and then once we've sort of unpacked that, we can get you inside. I'll make some muffins. We'll put on a cassette, and we'll play Hakuna Matata.
I just had this image of your next video with a bin in the background and George's face just popping out, lifting the lid out of his head.
Hey, Mumsy, I don't know if I should be feeling this way about a man, but I'm all in.
No, it's fine. Don't deny it. Just go with it.
I'm not fighting it. I'm not anymore.
He never
So
does.
let's kick into it. Elliot, obviously you're here because you've got your hand in the world of gaming through your main channel Retrofuture on YouTube, where you specialise in Game Boy modifications and restorations, amongst many other related technological pieces of intrigue that you present to us. I suppose, really, to those that are listening in the wild, we normally start this journey with what got you into your love of handhelds. Now, while I was in your bin, I did pull out a pretty dog-eared copy of Retro Gamer magazine, I believe. And in there, I think you refer to a copy of official Nintendo magazine that kind of sparked your interest in things other than current systems. Have I made that up in a fever dream, Elliot, or is this true?
I am so impressed. Yeah, that magazine was a huge moment for me, because basically the reason I kind of got into everything is I played Nintendo consoles growing up, like most other kids in the 90s, and my mum used to buy me this magazine, the official Nintendo magazine, and in one of them, on a kind of a double page spread at the back, there was a photo, there was pictures of all of the different kind of retro Nintendo handhelds, and there was the bright orange Donkey Kong Game & Watch, there was the purple Game Boy Color, there was that beige and maroon original DMG, and for some reason I looked at all of that and I was just like, I just want those. I don't really know why, I just knew that I did. And so I slowly kind of started getting them. That was at like probably age 11, 12. I kind of was asking my friends to see if their dad had one that I could have or whatever. Wow. And so, yeah, that magazine that you're referring to is by the same company, which I think called Future.
Yeah, and, Future Publishing.
Yeah, they asked me if I wanted to be in the magazine, and I was like, what crazy full circle world is it that I've still got that original magazine that my mum bought me too. As I had actually traded it off to a guy in Jersey when I lived there. I sold all of my official Nintendo magazines, and then a good 3 years later, I reached out to him and I was like, "Dude, have you still got this one edition of the volume of the magazine? Because I really just want that one back." And by chance, he still had it. Gave it back to me. Didn't even want any money for it, and now I've got the original one my mum bought me, which got me into all of the retro Game Boys. And then the one that I somehow managed to feature in, which is just like, that's such a crazy, crazy little personal achievement.
Well, your neighbour let me into your house, and these magazines, right? No.
He looks so worried.
What?
Oh my God, he's already been in my bin.
Well, that's wonderful, and it's an insight into that official Nintendo magazine. Was a hallmark of, to be fair, Nintendo propaganda, for want of a better word, but also actually some pretty insightful articles at the time. And I was always a big fan of that magazine, especially during the N64 era when I was rocking up once a month to grab that. So it's nice to see that you...
Did you ever remember the page where it showed people's collections and stuff? There was like a submit your own collection page.
Really?
And oh my God, that used to that was just always so cool, seeing people's collections and stuff like that. That really inspired the channel, to go back to your original kind of question. And then I've made videos on YouTube from, going to the skate park with my brother and stuff for years. Like, there's old videos of me on YouTube from like 14, 15 years ago. And then I just by chance started making videos on me buying Game Boys again when I had some money from my first job. And then I just started filming it. And then somehow I'm still here doing it. I don't really know how it happened, but that's pretty much it.
Well, thanks for coming on. We want to scratch a little deeper, if we may, Elliot.
I don't know when it'll end, but I'm just living life like the rest of us. What can I do?
No, well, you're enjoying yourself and chasing your passions, and it's certainly something that I think I and a lot of listeners, wish we were on the journey of. So fair play for you to getting on the train. Within this element of Nintendo handhelds, there's an awful lot of you speak down about it sometimes, I feel, but there's an awful lot of what I would call good modding of consoles going on in terms of the soldering and all that sort of stuff. So really a bit of a double-fisted question, if I may. What first made you rip the lid off one and start modding with it, either on air or off air? And then your sort of modding and soldering skills, are they something that you were passed on by a family member or a school, or are you completely self-taught YouTube kind of guy? What are you?
Well, I did some soldering in design and technology in school for, I think, my GCSEs, but that was probably it with regards to like practice of soldering. Everything else just came from watching YouTube videos. And I used to watch this guy called Retro Game Tech, Martin, I think his name was. And yeah, I think it came about because a friend of mine, oh wow, Retro Game Tech has actually uploaded a video 2 months ago, and his video prior to that was 3 years ago. So I need to watch that video. I'm gonna watch that immediately after this. Yeah, the kind of modding of stuff came about because I had started making these videos on gameboys and stuff, and that was kind of a thing that you could do, where you would take apart an original Game Boy and you would peel off the reflective backing, which made the little LCD screen, illuminate in any way, if it even did at all. You had to be directly in the light for it to be visible. And you could put a small little thin panel in and wire it in, just soldering it in, which is very basic soldering, by the way. It was like 2 wires to 2 little points. And then it just kind of developed from there. There was then other mods that got introduced, and when it became something with a bit of momentum, the channel, you kind of just learn what's necessary in order to achieve something that you want for the video. And like I'm pretty determined to learn something if I need to. It's kind of for some reason, I learn all the things that I need to learn when I want to achieve something, which is probably why I didn't do very well at school, because I was being told to learn stuff that I wasn't interested in. But now I just pick up whatever
I have a bit of a theory on that school element. When you're at primary school, you tend to do a little bit more holistic learning. So if you're doing history, it tends to involve maths, English, history, art, whatever it is, as a holistic source of inspiration. When you get to secondary school, it's like, sit down here for 1 hour, we will tell you about maths. Sit down here for 1 hour, we'll tell you about IT. Sit down here for 1 hour, we'll tell you about this. And I found that not to be a very conducive learning environment. But primary school, because it rolled it all into one, it tended to be a little bit more captivating. Plus puberty hadn't kicked in and other distractions, no doubt. So yeah, it was either Thundercats or school, I suppose, at one point in time in my life, and a little bit of Vic 20. God, what an impoverished childhood I had. So within all that, you obviously joined YouTube in 2014. You have 2 channels now, Retrofuture and Elliot Coll. You have 600 videos, and your second channel has 393, and your main channel has 573,000 subs. Jeez. Do you ever look at those numbers and feel the grind, or did it feel like you just woke up today? And obviously 600 videos probably takes its toll on your soul, if I'm honest with you. But how do you feel when you look back now atop your enterprise?
Oh my God. This is an existential question. Well, in complete honesty, I find it very hard to associate myself with the history of my channel, because obviously I started this channel when I was, it says on my about profile that I started it in 2014, but my first video on the channel wasn't until 2016.
Yeah.
So in 2016 I was 18 years old, which, like, when you're 18, you kind of think like, damn, I'm becoming an adult now. But like, the person that I was in those videos, I hardly recognize at all. I hardly recognize at all. And I think it's because like the development that someone goes through when they're self-employed, you know, I've moved to the UK now, I've renovated a house, and like there's just so much stuff that I've done in my personal life that has kind of at times eclipsed the importance of the YouTube channel, because there's also just general growing and personal development that I need to do. And so like, I don't think that my older content reflects me very much. And it definitely lacks some of the personality and some of the emotion and that I have now that I would really like to show more of. But making videos on gameboys is a fairly restrictive kind of subject matter. But that, before we started recording, was what I wanted to say is where the kind of changes are being made in my channel. Everything that I used to make on my main channel is now going on my second channel. So every video that I would have made on my main channel is now going on the second channel. And that's been going pretty well so far. I'm really, really happy with like how that's going. I was uploading nearly daily until the motorbike course. And then the main channel is going to be for just these ungodly huge projects that are just going to be probably a month long in the making. And it's you know, the money that the channel is going to make is going to be very, very small. Like, it's because uploading a video a month maybe might get 100,000 views, which is about, for anybody who doesn't know, about £350. So that's gonna take a huge hit, but hopefully the second channel will prop up everything financially to make it happen. But I wanted to fall in love with making content again, and the only way I can do that is by kind of going back to the drawing board and just taking the leap, and that's what I did in my most recent video, and that's what I'm going to be doing with everything else after that. But
I think
the terms of subscribers, though, to answer your other question, which I completely forgot about, looking at that number, there is, because I've seen it go up by basically one subscriber at a time over the last like 7 years of my life. Yeah, it's very different to someone, you know, to someone discovering that I have 570,000 subscribers. I have seen what that has been from video to video. And it's been very gradual. You know, it's taken a long 7 years is quite a long time to be doing YouTube. So I kind of
I think the first video I saw yours was you done, I believe I'm right in thinking you done a £5 game hunting challenge.
That was years ago.
Yeah, and I've subbed since, so I've been watching everybody since. Yeah.
Oh, so
dude, that's when so I've seen the progress you've made and the changes you've gone through.
No way, dude. Yeah. I'm so grateful. That's a seriously long time ago. Holy crap!
When I said to Mrs. RGT you were coming on the show, she was like, "Oh my god, you've been watching him for years." I was like, "Yeah." She said, "You chuffed?" I was like, "Yep, very chuffed."
Oh, dude, thank you.
Not at all.
I had no idea. That's amazing. That was I think that was about 6 or 7. That was probably about 6. That was quite new into the channel.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, about 6-7 years ago, I think. That's when I first.
Wow, here it is. Yeah, 6 years ago.
And then, sort of watched your pace renovation and then moving to the UK and followed them all, yeah.
No way. Oh, man.
It's a great journey to follow as well.
I've been a pseudonym for the actual reality that RGT has been living in your bin with his wife and child. I thought I would take the blame for it, but he extended your black bin 3 years ago, and now he's got like a little Granny Enix on it and as well.
Well, a garden waste bin suddenly turned up, and I don't remember ordering that.
Yeah, I'm in it now, look, that's what I mean. And you seen the wire coming out for electricity.
Man, honestly, I really appreciate that, though. That's crazy. I mean, I'll fire the question back at you then. Like, looking at a channel from the outside, that's developed, that has just been sort of constantly going for the last 7 years. What does that look like? Because obviously I only see the side of it that's behind my eyes, you know, like
I mean, I'll let RGT have his moment in a second, but if I'll just quickly, from my point of view, I've been dipping in and out of your videos for probably an equal amount of time, and one thing that's always struck me is your cool, calm narration. That's also got a little bit of hint of a cheekiness about it. There's always some sort of fun element to it, which I always enjoy. Your presentation of the videos, the way they're shot and edited. When you're doing something technical as well, you don't kind of cut out the guts of it, or sometimes even the heartache of it, and you kind of show it, and we go on a journey with you in those videos. And I think, having spoken to you now within the medium of the podcast, I can categorically say to people that the person you see in those videos is absolutely the person that I am talking to right now. Now, he says, "Oh, when I was 18, we all thought that when we were 18." But to be honest with you, if I could have presented myself to the outside world the way you did when you were younger and you were making these videos, I'll be very proud of myself. And I know it's not easy to hear, because you're like, "Oh God, this is a bit embarrassing, bloody hell." But it's absolutely true. And one thing I will say before I pass the mantle over to RGT is, I also have a Tupperware of PSP screws that I don't know why, but every single time I look at one, there never seems to be anywhere to put these screws back. Now, they're either breeding or what, I don't know.
I do not know what happens. You know that is it it's a magician's trick where the balls just multiply.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you take apart PSP.
When I saw you skillfully, I think it was probably a more recent video of yours, but you were doing a PSP and you were putting all the things back in. I thought, this guy's using, tweezers, whereas I just sort of poked it in with my finger. And he's still got screws left. Now, one of my PSPs was really beat up. I bought it as a project. It was completely scuffed, and I thought, I will reshell this. This should be easy.
Oh, no.
The shells are the most despicable thing. I look at it now on the shelf. It turns on, it plays, it'll read a UMD. But if you look at it the wrong way, it looks like the whole thing is just going to explode. Packaged together so tightly that if you tried to get that in an airport, it would probably blow a plane door off.
Oh, God. I mean, yeah, one thing that people might not know, and with all of your lovely compliments there about my presentation, my professionalism, there are times where I will make a video on something, and I make it more obvious now in pursuit of personality rather than just information, because that's ultimately what's going to sort of have longevity. There are times in the past where I've made a video and I've tried to mod something and it's just not gone very well, but it's gone well enough to make the video work. And then it's dead to me after that, because I can never unsee the fact that I did that wrong or did this wrong. But yeah, that PSP video was a good example of a newer style of one of my videos where if the mod is bad and it's impossible to install, what's the point of me trying to pretend that I am really doing a great job at it and it's easy to me? Because there's so many of those videos out there. There's so many videos that are just like WikiHow tutorials, and they're great for the people that want to do them. They're fantastic. But I think that my days of making content like that are probably, it's not coming to an end. It will probably now exist on the second channel, but I'm going like full speed ahead at making stuff that I really feel a more of an affinity towards, rather than just like stuff that people want me to make. And
I think that leads into me, the question you asked. I think for me, everyone that knows me knows I've collected for years and years and years, hence this. And I've followed a lot of YouTube channels for years, and I fell off a lot of YouTube channels for years. So there's very few that I carry on watching, but one being is yours. And I think the reason is because you are a really honest guy. You make really good videos, and you take us on that journey with you. You get too many channels that I find that get bigger. They get the subscribers up and they try and change themselves with that amount of subscribers. And they try and fall in this, this sort of content creator, which they think you should be when you've got more subscribers. Well, I don't feel you do. I think you are Elliot, and you're just taking us along the journey with you. And as you've progressed through and you've moved and you've done that, you've took everyone with you on that, even with your second channel, with what interests you've got with your, Reliant Scimitar and your little cub and your house renovation, and then moving to the UK. And you've took everyone on that journey. So it's not only about the Game Boys, that's just the interest of, your life as you go along as well. And that's why I think your channel is successful. And I think that's the reason why I still subscribe.
I appreciate that a lot, man. Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Credit where credit's due. I think it's a fantastic channel.
Thank you, man.
You've probably already done this a million times over and you've probably got all of them, but I would actually pay to see you take a bag of parts of a Sinclair C5 and bring it up to modern standards with lithium batteries, new motors, the whole bag of tricks, iPad incorporation. Yeah, I would pay, if just personal private video, but I would pay to see that. I think you would make it better than anybody, and it would be interesting to see.
I don't know. I just think I would get you a laptop with an emulator on it.
No, I'm talking the.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking the white bike, rideable electric bike thing.
Oh, we're talking about yes. I know. For some reason, I heard a very different thing. I saw one of these things on Facebook for sale recently, and I was like, that would be a lot of fun. My problem is, where the hell would I put it? Like, where do you put your Sinclair C5 when you're not using it if you don't have a garage?
Yeah, so you need a big shelf.
I tell you what, if you do it, and I'm a man of my word, I will buy you a tarpaulin.
Oh, great. And then you can live in that rather than my bin.
Well,
wait, there's one here for sale, 750 quid. Oh, man, it's such... that is... I live in Brighton, which is a very quirky place, but even going down the high street on that'd be a new level of style and
speed. So Clive Sinclair was far ahead of his visions at the time when he invented that.
It's kind of Tesla-esque.
Yeah, it is. There's one in Retro Replay Arcade in Norwich. They've got one in the display in the window, and I always just look at it and think it actually looks like it was made recently by Tesla.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Elon Musk hasn't at some point done some piece of media with regards to that, because what an unbelievably ahead of its time thing.
Yeah.
Now I really want one. I do really want one.
Yes.
That'd be great. And I can listen to this podcast on my cassette, on a Walkman, in a C5, run out of battery, and then somehow pedal it back home up Brighton's incredibly hilly terrain.
I'm thinking with a lithium battery mod and a reworked set of motors, this thing could be a more than feasible. It was a two ahead of its time with the lead acid battery that it had, but if you replace that with lithium, a proper cell, and actually rework that from the ground up, I think that would be quite the series. And at the end of it, you'll have a Sinclair C5 under a hastily bought UCP tarpaulin in your backyard.
I'll then do a series where I have to try and make it from Land's End to John O'Groats, just like on a
Sinclair. That'd be amazing.
C5.
You'd have quads like a blue power lift, I should imagine. Now we've indulged in our personal fantasies.
They'll call me bottom heavy Elliot after.
We have an American co-host who says he sees Stingray as an upside down bowling pin, but you would
you'd be the other way around.
Just plonked in a Sinclair C5. Let's get back to it. In fact, while we're on the subject, do you still own a Reliant Scimitar, and what was that experience like? Because there's not many out there left, even though they're made of fiberglass.
Well, so that was a thing that I did that I ended up kind of changing my mind on, and I get questions still to this day about that. And I've mentioned it in so many videos on the second channel. I sold it that car was something that I was interested in doing up, but trying to get a garage in Jersey to do the renovation was just proving to be next to impossible for the budget that I kind of had. And I bought the car with a 4-digit number plate, which in Jersey has quite a high value, and I just resold it. I just sold it on and pretty much immediately afterwards. But one day I would like to do a classic car renovation. But as my friend, my mate Vince, which is an interesting sentence, he's got a YouTube channel repairing stuff. He recently did a restoration series to a classic Rolls Royce, and it's one of those things where a lot of people would be interested in it, but the amount of money that it costs to restore a car, firstly, you'll never make the money. The car's value will it's unlikely to exceed the amount that you will spend. And secondly, YouTube is just like, YouTube is not the place for setting up a camera and talking yourself through a renovation of something like that. I mean Vince's series of the Rolls Royce is unbelievably good. I mean, he is just, I was saying earlier about learning to solder. Vince will learn how to do whatever is necessary, but to a level which involves fixing his house, fixing a car. He's done repairs on a boat, any Bang & Olufsen equipment from the 80s, which is like unbelievably well engineered. He will learn how to do all of that. He's done watch repairs and just crazy, crazy stuff. He's done a series on the Rolls Royce and from the behind the scenes of that, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying, it's an incredibly expensive endeavor, and I don't have half the skills that Vince has, and I do not believe that the cost can be recouped from the videos or the actual value of the vehicle itself. So unfortunately, anything like that, probably a bit too ambitious for someone with a channel of my size. And it's not to say that someone couldn't make an amazing series on it, but I don't think that I have what it takes to do that. Okay.
I think you're doing yourself an injustice, but let's take it from the 4-wheeled, 2-wheeled death machines and swing it. Well, before we go, you mentioned obviously Jersey life. You've left Jersey. You've moved over the sea. What prompted that? Was it to be closer to the content creators, or did you just fancy a little bit of slumming it like a mainlander?
I think when I started traveling a bit, I realized how small Jersey is and how I don't want to. I think when I started traveling more and meeting more people, Jersey just didn't do it for me anymore. And when I felt that, I could never unfeel it. And from that moment on, I wanted to leave. Jersey is a beautiful place. It's an absolutely stunning island. It's an absolute privilege to have been born there and to have grown up there. But it's a bit of a kind of deceiving place, because when you think of Jersey, you think of wealth and you think of beaches and you think of luxury. But in reality, for a young person, Jersey is a trap, because you can't afford to buy a conventional house. So you pretty much have to be in a relationship to then buy yourself a 1-bedroom apartment. And then you're paying $3,000 a month on your mortgage for the next 35 years, if you're lucky, with the interest rates that have gone up at the moment. I've got friends paying more than that on a mortgage of £350,000. And then you work yourself mad in a job that you probably don't enjoy. And Jersey's got very, very, very limited jobs. I mean, my my stepdad has been having a bit of a career path change. He's been in finance his whole life, and what do you do on an island that's it's basically either retail or finance? There's just nothing quirky. You know, it's kind of one of those. But I left, came to Brighton, and I was like, yes, this place is this is where I want to be for now. I see myself probably living in Japan for a couple of years at some point, probably living in America as well for a couple of years. I don't really want to be tied down to anywhere specific, but the UK just offers me so much more to do. I can at least just look into the distance and see a hill. That's new to me. Walking down a high street, like walking down a street and not bumping into people that you know all the time. And then obviously my motorbike got stolen. That was all over the newspaper. And then they put in the article where the motorbike got stolen from. They said by Elliot's house in St. Clement's near the Rice Bowl, which was a Chinese takeaway. A dude flew over to Jersey from the UK, and I've got to be careful because he might be listening. He flew over to the Rice Bowl. He flew over to Jersey and waited at the Rice Bowl, and it was he was a sweet guy. He was a sweet guy, but I think that it really freaked me out, to be honest with you. And
my bin jokes feel a little bit off colour now, Elliot. I must apologise. We've done our research, but we didn't know about the Rice Bowl.
I was just walking down and walking home, and he said he'd just been. I was like, oh, cool. What brings you to Jersey? And he'd just been waiting by the Rice Bowl. It's pretty. Wow. It was pretty mental.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and I remember the video of your bike getting stolen as well, and the aftermath. And I just felt so much for you. And I always did wonder if that was a little bit as well that pushed you to leave in Jersey.
Well, what had happened with the motorbike? Again, this is a story that the internet doesn't really know, but it's not a biggie, and there's a lot of time between it now. But I got taken to, well, actually the internet knows about some of this stuff, but I got taken to court by the electrician who rewired my house. He basically quoted me £6,000 for the rewire, and he brought in a bunch of apprentices to do the work, and they were terrible. I mean, they electrocuted, they told the main dude that they had turned off the power so that he could work on something. They said that they turned off the power. He went to work on it. Massive spark, black scorch on the wall. One of them had done a fire alarm so badly that one of the wires was kind of like one of the wires was exposed from the silicon sleeve. The spotlights in the bedroom, just you turn them on, and sometimes they just didn't. All of them didn't turn on. Sometimes they just and then the fuse board had like these lethal terminals that were just exposed. They weren't capped off, and that's direct supply from the mains. God. So I just said, like, he asked me for another 150 quid for additional wiring, and it was a formal quote that we'd signed. And I said, look, respectfully, I don't want you to come back, and this money that you owe me is over and above the agreed amount, and you haven't finished the job. He also, and this is a story that has not been on the internet, my girlfriend at the time, Freya, was sat on my bed in the house, and he just came over to me and said, can you get your missus to leave? I need a shit. And I said, well, there's a public toilet just outside, or there's a portaloo on the building site next door that I've had permission from the owner that you can use if you want. And he said, well, I'm not using that. He went into my untiled, temporarily plumbed bathroom, picked up the shower enclosure, of the box, the cardboard box, which had the glass shower enclosure in it, and just wedged it in the door, went to the toilet. And I just felt so disrespected in a house that while it looked like a building site, was my home. Anyway, I armed myself up with the most, I've got it proudly on display, the most incredible pack of like FU that I submitted to him when I got called to court, and he ended up dropping the case. My uncle, just by chance, is a lawyer, and he went through it all, and I took photos of everything. He lost he kind of had to I got a counter. I was going to submit a counterclaim for all of the costs to remedy all of his work, and then he had to pay all the court fees and whatnot. But then, a couple of days later, my bike got stolen from my house and set on fire and dumped in the sea. So I don't know if that was tied in, but they never found because I live so near the beach, there was no cameras. But the bike is nearly fully restored, like to the point where I was sticking the stickers on it yesterday. So I'm still coming out on top.
Exactly.
And that guy can, he can live his life. I hope he's well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm glad that you gave us a ramp to happiness at the back of that little side.
Well, it shows, I just feel like if you get knocked down and you get back up again, and like, I know I'm young, and that guy just saw my age and just took advantage of me. But when a young person is still everything in their life is as relevant and as real as it is at any age for someone.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I've come a long way since then, and I've found a lot of strength in all of the things that have happened to me, and I think I wouldn't change anything of it. The house renovation was grueling. Trying to make content throughout it was grueling, and people leaving negative comments when you know that the quality might not have been good was shit for my mental health. It was really, really bad. But I've made it out now. I live in a beautiful town, which I love dearly. And now things with my channel are feeling a bit more like clear of what I'm going to do. And the bike is shiny.
Awesome. I'm glad you got the bike up and running again.
Let's wow. Okay. Let's take that and let's wash it back into games, because the question I think that
sorry,
you're good. No, we won all of this, Elliot. It's beautiful. It's part of the story of you. And we must remember that not all stories are happy all the way. There are some disadvantages, and you talk about getting knocked back down and getting back up again. And I, much respect to you for that, because it takes a lot to get back up sometimes. And for a young man with his house and electric in tatters, his motorbike stolen, and a great big steaming log left by an overburdened ogre in his bathroom.
I actually went back to Jersey and saw him driving his van down the road, which is such a Jersey thing. And I just gave him a nice little smile and a little wave, with genuine sincerity as well. It wasn't like a sarcastic one. Don't know why I did it. I just thought
it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
it's the right thing to do, but sometimes nice guys can't help themselves, and there should be no shame in that.
Once he found out I was a YouTuber, everything changed. And then once he found out that I was going to sell the house, oh my God, he just became so rude, and he was nasty guy. And that's why it got to a point where I was like, I do not want you in my house. Like, I actually do not want you in my house. He rang me up drunk one day, and he sent me a whole load of text messages. And, I was 22. And this guy was, in his mid 40s, and it was terrifying. It was really quite scary.
Mm.
And then some guy the whole way through, by the way, I won't say the name just because I don't want people to find it, but some guy was making videos about me saying that I had set my own bike on fire and then set up a GoFundMe.
What? I think I heard something about
just this. To get like cash, and he made about 9 videos that are like 20 minutes long each. Some dude in America in his like, probably in his I don't know, must be double my age at least. Like, what is wrong with you?
I find that with a lot of successful channels. I mean, me and Mrs. RGT, we watch a channel called Life Uncontained, nothing to do with gaming. It's just about a couple who have gone off grid and built a house. But whenever you go to watch their latest video, there's always someone who's done a counter video. They're fake. They're scamming you. They're doing GoFund. Whenever someone's successful, someone's always got to try and knock you down.
Yeah,
and you'll always find that.
It's just the culture of because of the anonymity. What's the word?
Animosity.
Is it animosity? What's the one for being anonymous?
Oh, anonymity.
Yeah.
What have you done to me? Anonymity. Oh, I'm done.
Anonymity.
That one, being behind a screen and not being face to face, just breeds cynical, nasty behavior. And I've been a YouTuber for 7 years, and I provide the world with something, and I get paid for it in return. And you typically with YouTube channels that have been, that have had some success and have done it for a long time, typically what happens is you get rewarded for the contribution that you make with your entertainment. Now, that is not always true. There are many channels that are incredibly entertaining that, for the way of the world and the way of YouTube, don't get seen, or will hopefully eventually get seen. But with YouTube, if you provide entertainment, you get paid for it. That's kind of how that works. And I feel like I've done that, and I feel like I've still got a lot more that I want to do. But I think when you get to a point where people are saying really personal things, attacking you, that I just feel are somewhat unwarranted. It's just it's still confusing. It's still so confusing. And it just seems to be the way of the internet. But it's like, I'd love to meet the people for a beer and be like, tell me about yourself. What brings you to my comment section to comment on whatever it is that is so negative? Tell me about yourself. And what is the need for that? And what do you get from that? I know it's pointless, and you'll never get to the bottom of it. But
you'll never get to the bottom of it, but I don't think they even know. They're just lonely. They're just jealous. It's a combination of factors that.
But they could improve their life significantly by spreading some positivity rather than negativity.
Oh, absolutely. But you're always, even as I experienced this week, you're never that far away from a thorn in your side, sadly.
True.
And you've got to, as you say, and you've inspired me with your just get back up again, dust yourself off and move forward, because they won't. A man of the segue that I am, I don't quite know how to segue from the murderous electrician leaving the downstairs toilet to ask you, really.
Wow.
You're a big fan of Game Boys.
I'm sorry, I fully derailed there.
You're okay.
A lot has happened over the last few years, and I finally feel a lot more settled. And it's just taken a long time, and it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, definitely has.
You've come out of it an actual man and a gentleman at the back of it. So
Thank you.
What more could one want? So kicking it back, if we may, how many, you're well known as being a Game Boy aficionado, how many do you actually own now?
Oh my God. I mean, the number that I have of Game Boys is probably must be it must be less than 500 and more than 250. I couldn't tell you exactly, but I've got 3 plastic tubs of faulty Game Boys, and I think each tub has nearly 100 in them.
Wow. So useful spares. Do you get them from Sendico in Japan?
Yeah,
you do
yeah. I mean, I've like, for example, I've got there's that you always need them, and I build various people Game Boys behind the scenes that never videos aren't made on them, because it's not all about making a video. So you just always kind of need them. But I've got a video idea coming up where I'm going to sort of try and downsize that number and do something positive with it. So stay tuned for that.
It's not a meter long boy, is it?
that would be fantastic.
And also, I want to quickly ask you:
one person sees the screen of Tetris on the other side of the room, and then tells
like Periscope,
left button, right button, A.
What have you done, or have you still got those 100 Tetris games?
I have still got them.
What, the minuets?
Yeah,
none of them were a minuet.
None of them
were.
Wow, you really have. I'm so honored, man. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
That even got my wife is intrigued with that because you were going through them. She was thinking, because I explained to her it was about the spire going through the A's and the L's. So she was standing there. She'd stop what she was doing, watching, thinking, "Come on, let's just get a minuet one. Let's get a minuet one." And then at the end, she went, "What's the minuet one?" And I went, "Oh, it's the music's different. It's the original music. There weren't many made." And they went, and we were all just waiting. You go, "No." And we're like, "Oh, got to be one, surely, out of 100."
And a lot of people had said that it seemed obvious that there wouldn't be one because it's a person selling 100 games of the same game. But on the listing, it was from a store called Book Off, which is like in Japan, Book Off and Hard Off, just junk shops with loads and loads and loads of secondhand stuff. And I thought there would be such a high chance that there would just be one.
Yeah. I mean, that's not really something, unless you're really knowledgeable and know about it. You wouldn't know about the different music and you wouldn't know about the different artwork on the label. Literally so minuscule. So no, I'm with you on that. I would have thought that out of 100, hopefully there's one or two in there that is.
It was so funny though. It ended up being kind of even better, just the fact that there wasn't any. Because if there had been one, it would have been like, well, hey. Yeah. It was worth it, but instead there's a 9-minute long video of a guy going through 100 of the same game, just repeating the word no, and then it ends.
Yeah, the best bit is a tone of your voice changing as you get deeper into the pile of Tetris games, and it's gone from no to...
I know, and also I was like, how do I make a video where I have to look at 100 of the same thing? And I just thought, I don't know, I'll just press record. And I was like, well, we're here now, let's go. No.
That was brilliant.
Before we leave Game Boy City,
you'll have to give me your address, by the way, after this, because I'd love to send you some copies of Tetris.
I'll have 99 turn up.
Obviously, you're well known for your Game Boys as well as appearing on TV here in the UK. But one question we had for you, how did the whole Mr. Beast thing begin? And obviously, you've made some special modded consoles for them. You briefly touched on saying that you've made them for other people. Is there anyone else within that quite rather large gamut of a question, I would imagine, that you could maybe enlighten us that you've made one for as well? Does Tom Hiddleston have one of your Game Boys?
I think. I mean, I've made them for a lot of YouTubers. I wouldn't want to name drop, but one person probably one of the coolest opportunities was someone who I'm a genuine fan of, and turns out they're a fan of mine too. Matteo Lane, who is a comedian, an American comedian. Matteo Lane, absolutely incredible comedian, and he reached out to me and said, I would love a Game Boy from you. And I built him a Game Boy, and then he just he just put me all over his Instagram story and stuff. Nice. And he's got 1 million followers on Instagram. Wow. And then every now and again he would just put up a photo of him just sat at his sofa in his apartment watching one of my videos on the TV. And then when I went to New York, I went twice last year, and he made time for me on both occasions. And he's a really, really, really lovely guy. He came to London to do a show and asked me to come and watch it behind the scenes, and really,
beautiful.
really amazing opportunity, and I think like a very genuine sort of connection as well that I'm just grateful to make.
And that's like the positive side of YouTube.
With someone,
you get connections with
so
people,
lovely.
and
He's so lovely.
That's brilliant.
And how on earth would I have ever of met? How on earth would I have ever have met such an interesting person on the other side of the planet, who's doing such a unique thing? Like that, it just turns out that they're a fan of Game Boys, you know, like it's crazy. So that was amazing. The Mr. Beast thing was quite simple. There was just an offer to make some Game Boys, and I made them. It was during COVID, and he had said initially that we will fly you out and you can give them to him. And that didn't get to happen because of COVID, and it was obviously an indefinite kind of lockdown. So he just said, ship them and we'll film our bit and send you the footage. And then I said, oh man, well, I was really excited to come to the US. Like and he was like, oh, there's no problem about that. Like when COVID's gone and the restrictions are lifted, we'll fly you out still. And I just kind of thought there's no way he's going to remember that, or like there's no way that offer is going to still be there. COVID ends. I'm sending him a message, and he's like, "Yeah, here's this contact. Speak to this person, and we'll get it all sorted." Before you know it, I'm out there. They're making time for me. So lovely, all of them. So lovely, and they've got nothing to gain from a channel as small as mine by comparison to theirs.
Yeah.
And they made so much time for me, and I had such an awesome trip, like meeting Americans that are the same age as me. And like, I mean, it's one thing that they're all YouTubers that are massive, but just the cultural kind of like experience of hanging out with guys my age. We didn't spend the whole time talking about fame, money, and YouTube. You know, that's probably what people would assume. We were just talking about young stuff, dumb stuff, like you know,
nice.
like crappy old vintage mopeds and just random stuff that you would hear young 20-year-olds talking about. And another incredible opportunity that I'm so grateful for. And Jimmy's a very, very lovely guy. They're all very lovely people.
Did you feel nervous when you were building them?
I did because an opportunity like that is something that for the rest of my life I want to know I made the most of. So I think I kind of had that weight on my shoulders of like, oh my God, what this is like, I've got to give this my all. And the pieces of content that I made as a result of that opportunity, I'm really, really, really.
But their reactions to it must have made it all worthwhile for you, because they were over the moon, weren't they?
Yeah, and they are actual like fans. Like
they were.
Chris still has the Game Boy that I made her. It's literally in her house, and then Carl has it on his shelf, and Jimmy has it in the office, and then Mr. Who's the Boss, which is a tech YouTuber in the UK, he did a tour of the Mr. Beast studios, and the Game Boy was there, and they genuinely still have them. Like it's really, really, really cool.
Brilliant.
And Chandler as well. I met him when I was there the end of last year, and he says that he still has his, and I believe it, because a Game Boy is a damn Game Boy, and one with your logo on it, which has a backlit screen, is just inherently cool.
Putting the Game Boys and celebrityness to one side for a moment. Obviously, we've talked around consoles and things. We know that you've got a Switch. Are there any other modern consoles that you own?
Do I own modern consoles?
Yeah. So you've got a Switch.
No.
Is that it? Is that the newest bit of tech in there?
I don't do really anything with modern tech at all. I try. I just don't really have much of an interest in modern tech. Don't watch TV. I don't have a subscription to any streaming platform. I rarely play games. I like playing the Game Boy and like I love playing Zelda and Tetris, and very soon I'm going to be streaming Ocarina of Time. But no, the Switch basically is for making videos on Switch related stuff and Mario Kart.
Okay.
The essential game.
The only essential games. It's well, listening to Mr. Digital Man Crew might need another Mario Kart challenge accepted so Elliot can show off his skills. Looking forward to seeing that happen.
Sorry, that's a bit of a bad answer, but
No,
I don't have any
it can't be a bad
consoles.
answer if it's the
No
answer
such
that
thing,
you've
yeah.
given. Yeah, is it? So that's absolutely fine by me.
It doesn't lead you on to anything else. It's just like,
don't you worry about that, my good friend. Don't you worry about that.
I mean, you're both lovers of you're both lovers of retro games. So do you both have like all the modern consoles too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with arm's reach, yes.
Okay.
And to be fair, I haven't really touched my retro setup in some time. Life's a little bit different, you know. You're buzzing about all the place, so it's up until recently it's been a little bit of Switch time, and now it's PS5 time. And every now and then I'll look at the Series X, and you know, RGT's having a little bit of a Series X deep dive at the moment, and obviously he's got his PS5 and his Switch pairing in the background, but RGT's probably the more retro gamer, but I would say we are almost like lesser spotted eagle warblets. I wouldn't say we're the most.
Oh yeah, I know the
gamer
type.
the same gamer you see on a daily basis. I wouldn't say that we're sort of COD and FIFA characters, although we're both guilty of probably having played those. Or RGT's still a big fan of EAFC. We can't deny this, can we? RGT. I like baseball. For my sins and baseball video games.
Have you
RGT.
ever played the Virtual Boy baseball game?
I haven't. Do you think? Have you got a Virtual Boy?
I have.
Do you think that's the rarest piece of retro gaming? I call all bits of retro gaming stuff tat. Is that the rarest piece of tat you own? Do you think?
Oh God, no.
No, some of your Game Boys are very rare, obscure Game Boys.
I mean, just to hand this. In fact, wait, I've got that. Here's a little show and tell. This is a test cartridge that Nintendo employees use to diagnose Game Boys.
Holy moly! So that's like a normal Game Boy cartridge, but looks like it's had an enema.
It's a normal Game Boy cartridge
itself.
from here, and then there's the rest of it.
Wow!
You got some
then,
like the DS stuff as well, haven't you? Like the DS.
Yeah, I've got a
development consoles
prototype Game Boy Color that never got made.
Wow! What is that on the front? Is that Astro Boy?
Yeah,
or something?
it is. It is. They made a Game Boy Light with that design, and then I found this Game Boy which has the design printed on it, but it's in a new old stock. It's on a new old stock official Game Boy shell that doesn't even have the screw posts fully tapped with a screw thread.
Ooh.
So it's quite an interesting little piece, and seems to be the only one that's been found. I've had some crazy offers from people to try and buy that, and then I've got this, which is the one screen DS, which some people will know from my channel. It's literally a Nintendo DS with one screen, and it's an official Nintendo device that was used to emit the game demos in stores and in McDonald's. So yeah, the Virtual Boy is rare, but like I have some of the most
I think you had, didn't you have
random tat ever.
You had like McDonald's DSs for training McDonald's employees, didn't you? As well, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, that one I did actually sell.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Trained employees in McDonald's on a DS.
Here you go, Tommy, and you come
sit
down. Here's your DS. That's the health and safety.
That's literally what they did. They made there's an article on YouTube about it, and they show the employees sat in like a training room with a DS, and it shows you It gives you all of the times of how long the fry is going for and how long the patties go on for, and
Wow.
and then it shows you how to package them, and you use the stylus to close up the packaging and stuff. And it's and then they made a limited run of the actual McDonald's branded DSIs too, but it was exclusive to Japan. And Japan, from what I understand, the business relationships that occur in Japan are just, there's kind of no rules to the collaborations that can come out of that. I mean, Nintendo have done collaborations with just the most random things. It just
They've done
seems
like Toyota and that, haven't they? And you get like Toyota branded Game Boy.
I've got that.
Of course he has.
Because he has.
So like this just looks like a regular Game Boy, and you'll have to excuse, not that the listeners can hear, but I've got helmet hair from wearing a helmet for 6 months. Regular Game Boy, the word Toyota.
Yeah.
And then
My
it's
goodness.
a Game Boy that was supposedly given away with people who bought a Toyota car in Japan in a certain period of time. So yeah, it's very, very, very random.
That
And
Toyota owner obviously all in on the Game Boy. It looks mint.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite things that I own.
It's got a nice sort of that light blue aesthetic on there. Looks really quite nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful color. It is the color that my camera is showing. So I don't know if
Yeah, that's it's like I don't know. If there was
like
a female
sky blue.
around, yeah, they might call it a teal or some other word I've never heard of to describe blue. But yeah, it's that nice sort of pastel blue, which has got a really good look to it.
Yeah, it's not far off. It is very far off.
It is blue. In
Wait
my
a minute.
world, if I had a crayon,
That's
Similar
closer. Yeah.
Sony logo from 1980. Get your Walkmans out, guys. Get your Sony pouch out and have a look at that. And that's the color.
we're not normally asking them to get their Sony pouch on here, Elliot. While we, I suppose one of the questions that we've had really, obviously, when you do your filming, are you a one-man band? Do you film and edit all yourself? And is that time consuming?
Yes. Yes to all of the above. I film and edit all by myself using a Sony A7 III, which I've had for a really long time, and a Canon 80D that I've had since the start of my channel. And I use iMovie.
Wow.
Like all the greats.
Exactly.
i.e. myself.
Blue Planet was actually edited on iMovie.
Was it really?
No, it wasn't at all. Probably something very, very different.
Oh, I hope that was.
Windows Movie Maker. That was it.
So we know that you've travelled around off the back of your channel. You've been to Japan, you've been to America to hobnob with Mr. Beast, amongst other things. While you're on the travels, do you take the Switch, or are you packing like a retro pocket, or do you just go, you take off the stabilizers, you're a big boy. Do you grab down one of your rarer pieces of kit, lob a copy of Tetris Minuet in the back of it and hot fuzz it to the plane? What sort of character are you on your travels, Elliot?
Well, I often take the analog pocket because one of the things that I just like, emulation is great, controversial, but emulation is great and has a place in every retro game enthusiast's life. But the I believe it's called the illusion of choice, makes me not be able to just focus on the one game. So like, while I could put into my bag a gaming handheld that has a Windows computer in it, that has Steam and loaded up with every single emulator under the sun, that to me is like too much choice, and it makes it more off-putting of a decision to make to pick it up and play it. And when I'm playing it, I'm never
it's paralyzing, isn't it? It's paralyzing.
It's like, how can I fully focus on this one game when if I just leave this one game, I can look at thousands of other games. It's the same sort of, to be honest with you, it's the same problem with modern day relationships. If you want to get onto some real.
No, Elliot, no. You're joking around, but the illusion of choice that's presented to us nowadays with the streaming channels and relationships, as you say quite rightly, is something that probably ends up with people pouring hours through digital libraries and various lists of games, and even if you've got them physical on the shelf, and you kind of run your fingers through all of them but never actually focus on one. So I think that's
and when you're younger and you get a game bought for you, even if the game is bad, what are you going to do other than just play it?
Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation before. I think when I was young, I had Master System, then Mega Drive. I had one game a year.
Tell him the real story about the Master System. Tell him what sort of a gluttonous pig you are. Yeah, tell your hero exactly what you did, you naughty little boy.
That was just one little glitch in my life. That was all. This is confession time. My parents had bought me a Master System 2 for Christmas.
Oh, wait, that wasn't the bit. Sorry.
No, but I'd found it hidden, and I'd very carefully slipped the tape. I was old enough to be left on my own at home, so when they would pop out round neighbours, I would quickly wire it into my CRT, play Alex the Kid that was built in. So by the time Christmas come round, I'd already completed Alex Kid.
They're like, blimey, you're good at this game.
Yeah. I thought you'd be a bit more enthusiastic about your console. Yeah, I know. But
I'll be honest.
I've been playing it for 3 months.
I would be a hypocrite to judge you. I mean, I didn't quite have that level of James Bond, but I did. I did 1 year go into the cupboard in my parents' room that had some presents in it, and had a little rummage around. Came out to my mum just standing there.
Ooh.
You've been collared.
So that was a year. But yeah, do you know another funny childhood Christmas story that I remember as well? The year that the iPod Touch 2nd generation came out, so I don't know what year that was. I had been wanting an iPod Touch for the whole year, and that was the kind of birthday and Christmas present that I was going to get, and I finally got it, and it was like, life is now as good as I'd always wanted it to be. I have this iPod finally, and I was sat on the toilet playing some of my mum's music or something that she just had on iTunes. Like it would have been Leona Lewis or something like that. And my dad had given me this kind of dock which came with his iPhone that did not fit my iPod appropriately, and I just had it in my hand and I was just kind of admiring it, and it was balanced sort of on this dock thing. Suddenly falls off the dock between my legs directly into the toilet bowl, and the song was still playing slowly and quietly as it just stopped. And then I pulled it out.
Was singing out of your toilet.
I was like, no!
No!
Yeah, that was it. It was broken. But I was actually a choir boy at the time, and I was earning about £5 a day every Sunday. And I think I had like £40 or £50 saved up, and I think my dad managed to get one on the insurance, and I paid him because it wasn't like I couldn't have the lesson of life be drop it down the toilet and here's a brand new one at that young age. So I had to pay a price, but it was worth it. Yeah. And I still have that iPod.
Yeah.
What, the toilet warrior or the replacement?
Yeah, no, I have the replacement one. I think the toilet one, that one stayed in an airing cupboard in a bag of rice for about a month to no avail.
The owner never played for that again.
Yeah.
I see a new video.
I want to see you in a Sinclair C5 Going down the road playing Leona Lewis on your toilet iPod Touch.
brushing the poo off of the iPod circuit board.
I cannot wait for
With
a
some
macro lens of
isopropyl
that.
alcohol.
He sent the feces away for analysts to see what he was eating at that age as well, just to make sure it was healthy.
Not even Mr. Sheen will cover the stench.
The beloved Mr. Sheen. I didn't realise that today's journey with you, Elliot, would actually take me on 2 toilet stories, both of which ended with some rather nasty action in the bowl, if I'm honest with you. But it did. I suppose
I can only apologise.
No, you're all good. I mean, what an absolute wonderful journey it's been. I suppose, really, for me, I have one last question. The toy hospital, that makes you a mega celebrity in my eyes. You're on Channel 5, fixing toys. How did that come about, and how did that leave you feeling as an experience?
Right. Wow. Okay. Well, it came about with an email in my inbox of would I like to do this show, and I don't know if you have any experience in TV or all that kind of world, but it seems to be about the most uncertain, wishy-washy. It might happen, it might not, probably won't, maybe it will, until like a week before, and they're like, right, we need you up in York for a week, and I'm like, okay, and then get on a train, go up to this disused hospital that's been transformed into a hospital for toys, and I am just watching people push teddies around in beds on wheels, and I'm suddenly asked to put on my scrubs, and
That was
I put the scrubs on, and then the first scene, I'm asked to tell the winner of the Great British Bake Off that I don't want to do the extra shift on Saturday to, save the toys. And
did you wonder at this point why you said yes?
And I was just like, look, I'm just gonna do this because I have no expectations, and it's a good job I didn't, because it would never have met them. It exceeded them immediately, is what I mean. What could you expect from a situation like that? And then just to make it even more crazy, the place was like a location out of a Disney fairy tale. There was deer that would just walk around the grounds of this place, and it was so beautiful and picturesque that there was literally a wedding venue that you could rent out just like below on a sort of lower level of this area that we're in, and that was stunning. There was these deer walking around that you could just walk up and stroke them, and they were just super chill. There was a peacock with the massive like feathers in the background, just screaming its head off. You could just hear it just screaming in the distance, and you could go out and that thing would come right on up to you. There was like, yeah, and then I'm being asked to fix a vintage 60s Japanese bear that was given to a lady by her parents who are no longer here, and then it's like, okay, wow, this is a real thing, this is a real person, I have no idea who they are. Fixing this toy is going to be actually really important to them, because this is like the toy that their parents got them, and bringing it back to life, and her seeing it like she saw it when she was a kid. Like, what a crazy little opportunity that is to do that for someone. Yeah. So yeah, to be honest with you, mental experience. Absolutely would do it again in a heartbeat. Had no idea what to expect, and it was like, it was a story that you know kind of just sounds like it's all made up, but it was just incredible. Amazing. Amazing.
It sounds like the sort of fever dreams I'll describe on the show, but for you, it was a reality. And
it was mad. It was mad.
Do you think that sort of moment on what I would call the mainstream Gogglebox, as was, we know this media is...
It was actually on Gogglebox. Like, it was the Toy Hospital was on an episode of Gogglebox too, which is like, what has happened?
That must be weird seeing yourself on there.
How odd. If it's not odd enough as it is, you settle down for an episode of Gogglebox and you're on it.
Yeah.
It's double money shot, really, isn't it? Well, you've stumped me there now. I don't even know where to be. Mike Rouse came on, YouTuber and gaming celebrity, and I left him without the ability to speak, Elliot, and you've actually served me up a slice of I don't even know where to go with all this now.
It's probably because I don't make a lot of sense. So you're trying to...
No, you do make a lot of sense. And I think what I was going to say is you see the culmination of your efforts on what I would call the traditional media provider, the television. Do you see that as like a mark of where you've gone and how far you've gone? Or do you look at TV and not get the kick out of it that you would do out of YouTube or something like that?
Well, the thing is about that show is it was nothing about me at all. So it wasn't like, this is Elliot, he's a YouTuber and he's done all of this for Mr. Beast. It was like this toy needs fixing and Elliot's the guy who's going to fix it. And so like when I look at that as a thing in my career, I don't associate it with like the Retrofuture. That was a random side thing. Like you just get asked to be in a I don't know. It was just a unique opportunity, and the fact they found me through my channel, but it had nothing to do with that really. So I don't kind of associate that as being anything of an achievement in my career, more than it was just an incredibly unique opportunity that I am really grateful to have had. And
I have one quick question, if I may interrupt.
Sure.
Was it an easy fix, or did you have my mate Vince on speed dial?
Busted. I would be lying.
To be honest with you, that is not going to be your everyday cup of tea, is it? Basically, I
would be lying
Japanese
if I said I didn't ring Vince and get some advice. I think the thing that I was worried about was that presenting as a professional is not something that I have ever done before, because YouTube, it's like common knowledge. You know, YouTube is broadcast yourself. You can see the first time I ever soldered a Game Boy on my channel. Yeah. And so like I think that was a bit of a scary thing to do. Fortunately, the wiring of the bear was very simple. It was very basic, and a lot of that work was more so the kind of it wasn't anything that needed. Like the problem with the bear was that the main problem with the bear was that the two wires to connect it to the battery pack, which was just like two massive D cell batteries or C cell batteries, those two wires had just come away. So the moment I actually touched them against the battery box, it all sprung to life again. But the reason it had come away is because the wires become frail over the years. So all I did was just rewired it like for like with brand new wire and brand new solder so that it was going to last a lot longer. And then all of the tabs of the tin that was the sort of skeleton of the bear had snapped off. So I had to make new tabs, which I used another tin for. It was actually an original gravy rations tin that they had just gotten from probably World War II or something like that, and just made this bear out of it. So that was kind of the more technical part of it rather than the wiring. But it was a dual effort between me and a lady called Jackie, who does all of the kind of fabric work of the bear. But that was the thing, I think, that the biggest takeaway of that thing for me was there is a person who is so good at restoring dolls, and her name is Charlotte. And Charlotte was like making molds for replacement limbs of dolls. so that she would pour in plasticine, not plaster. What's it like the
Plaster.
For Paris.
literally plaster? Yeah, it would go hard. She would then sculpt it more with her tools or add more onto it with more clay and all the rest of it to make this perfect thing. Then she would make another mold, then put the mold in a gyroscopic device that she also made, then would go in with the sort of silicon plastic stuff. She's spinning that round so that it gets into all the crevices, but it's still hollow and sort of it's sort of pliable, whatever.
Pliable. Yeah.
Like it's sort of squishy because it's a kind of a soft plastic that dolls are made out of. And then she, it's using the right color as well that she's mixed up. And then any added detail of skin, she paints on with a proper professional enclosure. And I was just like, how amazing are humans that is a thing that someone is doing in this country. And it was just so damn cool to meet people like that. There was Lincoln, who was restoring the bike, and yeah, Jackie, who was doing all of the bear repairs, and also Nancy, the Great British Bake Off winner. She also just happens to be a wizard at sewing. So she was on the sewing machine making clothes. And then you just got these lovely, lovely people who have just submitted their faulty toy that has a real sentimental value to it into a database. Their name gets drawn, and then we're fixing their childhood toys that they so dearly love, and then it's all over. And then I go back to Brighton, and that happened. It was mental, amazing opportunity, and just so crazy and so cool as well.
Nice. Well, I'd like to maybe wrap up our little interrogation of you there, Elliot, if I may be so bold. Hopefully we've not freaked you out too much. The rice bowl story made me regret my initial line of opening comments. But
no. It's all good, man. It's all good.
You seem a good enough sport
You wouldn't
to let
have
me get
known
away with it.
It's absolutely fine. There's a big difference between joking about being in my bin and then flying over to Jersey and basically turning up at my house.
Mumsy, clean the geotags on the phone. Do it now.
It was cool. He kind of just to give this guy some, just to because that story does sound very scary, but he was a very, very sweet guy who I think overlooked the kind of the potential creepiness of that. And I think
his excitement got the better of him, didn't it?
Yeah, my initial reaction was like, this is really quite scary. And then I went into my house, had a moment or two to think about it, and found a copy of Tetris and a little like Retrofuture card that I had, and I went back out and found him and said like, dude, it's so lovely to meet you, and enjoy Jersey. And so it was actually fine. It was harmless, but it was the moment of like, because of the article and because of the fact that it literally, if you Google like bike Jersey fire or something like that, it comes up with the article, and it just has the name of a building that is basically adjacent to my old house. And then the other thing that was also just insane is I uploaded that video of me crying my eyes out, which was fresh off of the police pulling the bike out of the sea. And I put the video up, deleted it within about, I think it was the same night or the same day or the next day. And then the news report I had told them, you must not use this article of me crying because I don't want that being on television. And they did a whole piece about the bike, and I was really excited to see what the piece was like, how it turned out, because it was a really positive thing where a lot of people actually ended up donating, and it became this really amazing thing where my community came together, and a viewer of mine started this GoFundMe to start the donations. And I didn't actually ask him to do that, and I contacted him the moment that I found out that he had done that and asked him to stop it, because I didn't know how much money was needed, and it already had made £2,000. It has now cost me £6,000 in total. So it was definitely needed and contributed massively. But they used the video of me crying like I had asked them not to, and they made that quite a core feature of the article, broadcast it to Jersey where everybody knows everyone. And
mate.
I had messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years of like, and I was just, I don't know, man, that rubbed me wrong, because I told the lady, I was like, please give me your word that you will not use that article, and do not use the video of me crying. And she just obviously didn't hear that bit, or you know, she gave me her word, but it's still, and I was really kind of like excited to see it, and I recorded it on my phone, like the article, just screen recording it. And then the moment I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's just crazy. So that was Jersey media.
Well, let's turn that into a massive positive, because now that we've spoken to you, there's a gentleman that we would like you to meet. He's a bit of a strange character. He's a person from our childhoods that used to deliver video games and counterfeit DVDs in the boot of his car, as well as counterfeit nappies. I recently got asked what's he like, and I decided that the best, because he now peddles his wares all over the world, and I think you could argue he's like a seedy version of Father Christmas, if I'm honest with you. His ability to be everywhere all at once, while also having in his boot exactly what he needs at any moment in time. Let's see what you make of him. It's time for a peek in what we affectionately call Stingray's boot, what's nestled between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battlefriend all this week. These are the new release highlights for the week February 18th to February 25th, 2024. Listeners, these are out digital or physical, or will be by the time this podcast's in your feed, but could be region dependent. Oh my God, Ray. Okay.
Oh no.
RGT, what, before we switch to Elliot, what are you seeing the mighty Ray as, and his son Wayne?
Wait, where am I meant to look at this?
I don't want to break the fourth wall for the listeners, Elliot, but you got to use your imagination.
Oh, of course. Am I having a stroke? What is going on? What is with the counterfeit nappies?
Well, you've appeared, you've bizarrely agreed to be on, as I described as the lower meniscus of shows. You've appeared here. I think that whatever Mumsy put in your tea has worked. And I feel it's starting to wear off. So we need to be quick before you actually wake up and realise where you are and what you're involved in. RGT, how are you seeing the Ray and his son Wayne this week?
It's always on point with me. Whenever I see Ray turn up with his boot full of goodies, he's always on point. This week he is in a Game Boy suit.
Oh.
Yes. But he does have the new IPS screen as his face. So it looks, obviously Elliot has worked on this in the past, and his son Wayne, he's not quite as good. So he is just a tiny little game child, that knockoff Game Boy.
Wow. Okay.
Without
he is physically a game child, or he's dressed as a game child?
He is physically a game child.
Wow, that's how you're seeing him. Okay. Well,
right.
Wow.
You wait to hear what George sees him as.
Well, this week he's bowled out the car, and I'll be honest with you, he's resembling to me what looks like a stood-up German Shepherd stroke Alsatian, except he's dressed as a late 80s punk. So he's rocking what can only be described as, I don't know, it's maybe a stained neon pink Mohican. He's wearing a dirty bomber jacket, but his trousers aren't done up properly because he can't get his paws to work the buttons. His son Wayne crawled out the back of the car, presents himself to me as a very bad, he's come as Wayne, his normal self, but he's wearing a really bad Optimus Prime fancy dress outfit that he's made out of some mouldy boxes that he's slathered red. Actually, it's blood.
Oh my God. Poor Elliot is wondering what he's signed himself up to.
And he's actually, because him and his dad are into counterfeit products, he's actually called himself Optimum Prime. And he's just badly transformed and sat himself on that awkward looking puddle at the bottom of the drive. It's a bit of a mess. So, yeah, moving on. Elliot, how are you seeing the mighty Ray? And are you seeing his son? And if so, what's he looking like to you?
Well, right. I mean, I can see where you're both coming from. I can. But for me, Stingray is he is sort of in the shape of an original iPod. And for some reason Leona Lewis is playing in the background, just kind of quietly. And his son Wayne
Muffled.
is somewhere in the Serengeti taking photos on a camera. And then suddenly and the car is a Toyota which has a gameboy sticker on it. And there's a motorbike on fire in the background as well. Sorry, I think some trauma is sort of coming up a bit here. and they're all eating Chinese from the rice bowl.
Don't ever drink George's tea again.
That is right up there. Top
That's one of the
tier
classics.
Ray Vision. That is absolute gold.
He's a solid guy though. Like we had a really good chat about this new sort of game that he's thinking of making. Which is it's a really innovative sort of idea where he drives around the country collecting things from people's houses and they don't know that he's doing that. And he goes around to different charity shops and just offloads it without them knowing. And so he's actually a really good guy. That's kind of the core message of the game. And you just have to collect piles of steak on the side of the road as you go.
If that don't make the Christmas clip show, I don't know what will. Absolute gold.
Put that on a t-shirt, Bada Bingster.
That is something
That's a
I never
challenge.
thought anyone would fully understand Ray. This guy's not only fully understood him, he's had him for tea. And
I wondered where he got 100 copies from Tetris from.
He got it off Ray, didn't he?
Yeah, there's a reason
The
about the minuet
no-brainer.
ones in there.
Next time we see some clandestine things on Elliot's channel, it better be that he got it from a guy called Stingray. I tell you now. let the legend live.
Well, it was all fun and games though until he started telling me about some of the things that have been going on recently for him,
right.
some of the visions that he'd been having.
Wow, this is going deep.
Did you guys hear about the visions?
No. What visions are these?
Tell us about the visions.
Well, it was a cold evening, and and he was just coming out of my bin, and it was his shift.
George.
Not much was left in there because so much of it had already been taken. And he was walking down the side street, and there was a few puddles on the floor. They were reflecting some of the light. And suddenly, a bowling pin just came out of the sky and said to him, "You must become a member of the Unofficial Controller podcast to make sure that you get their amazing box of goodies that are coming out right now."
Oh, what an absolute stud. Mumsy! See my lost brother that you know, with Eric from the Methodist Chapel Village Hall Finance.
Why can't I write things like that?
Unbelievable. Another brother. Mumsy's birth half of Lincolnshire. I have to be honest. I didn't realise she'd managed to get to Jersey. Okay, not to decry your sort of birthright and heritage. Yeah. So, anyway, Elliot, we normally give guests the chance to have a readout of the boot, to pick a game out. I do realise now there's an element we forgot, but you're a quick-witted man, so I'm sure you'll come up with it. You mentioned having a small affinity to League of Legends. Would you like to pull this out of the boot and read the official blurb for us?
What of the new game? I just closed the tab. Wait a minute. There it is. It's back. Yeah, sure thing. What would you like me to read the name of the game?
Yeah, that's name of the game when it's coming out, and then what we really like is the official blurb that they write, because often it is humorous to say the least.
What is NS?
Nintendo Switch.
Okay, I knew that.
Your second favorite platform.
Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story, being released on PC and Nintendo Switch on February 21st. Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story, is a crafting RPG set in the whimsical world of Bandle City. After a party goes wrong, the portals that connect your home collapse and throw everything into chaos. Using your knitting magic and backpack house,
that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Restore the portals to reunite Bandle City.
This is like one of them you get on YouTube from PlayStation when they're doing a little mini trailer for a game. They sound just like you, Elliot, when you've described it.
You perfectly nailed it.
Wait, knitting magic and backpack house.
Yeah, I know they're random, these blurbs.
Is that just some words, or is there actual like coherence to that? Like, I'm so confused.
There will be some form of coherence to that. Yeah, this is the official outputted description of the game. I'm going to reach into Ray's boot and pull out myself a copy of Last Epoch on the PC, February 21st. Uncover the past, reforge the future, ascend into one of 15 mystery classes and explore dangerous dungeons, hunt epic loot, craft legendary weapons, and wield the power of over 100 transformative skill trees. Last Epoch is being developed by a team of passionate action RPG enthusiasts. If you had any doubt that game had some form of credence, it's that some fans got together and they're making an action RPG. A hallmark of quality, if ever I saw one. But it's in the boot, so he gets the mummy. Instant stamp on it.
Yeah.
Game of quality and excellence. Before we let Ray disappear, Elliot...
Ray!
No, don't worry. He will forever be just 1 second away from you and everybody.
Oh.
We take a retro DVD out of his boot. Now, this week, I'm going to take... I'm going to pick the Thunderbirds movie.
Oh, great movie.
Wow.
The live action movie. I'm going to stick that under my arm. It's from Ray. It's a cam copy from the year it launched in a cinema. But
is that the one that had that the lady, she just kept eating popcorn throughout the whole thing?
I think, were you there?
No, but I've seen that copy. It was an iconic one. And then that guy just gets up halfway through and just recites Susan Boyle's I Dreamed a Dream.
You've bought a lot of stuff off Ryan.
He's bought, well, to be honest, his videos tell us that he's got Sting on speed dial. RGT.
Yes.
What DVD are you taking home out the boot?
I'm going with a 1996 film. I'm going to have it on VHS and go proper old school.
Right.
And it's one that I haven't actually seen. It's The Rock with Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, and Ed Harrison. I'm going to watch that.
Okay. Nice bit of action smaction.
Yes.
Elliot, we turn to you and say, what DVD are you taking home out of Ray's boot?
I am taking home. I'm trying to remember the name of this movie because it's actually really, really good. Wait. Oh, God damn it. No, Stuart's going to be so sad. Is it called The Adventures of Roy? No, I'm going to give up on that. I am taking out the extended version of Bergerac's detective series.
What an absolute
wonderful.
Stud.
Yeah. Wonderful.
What you don't realise is you dovetail into this show perfectly. You do not understand the things that you have said.
People think we scripted him.
They're going to think we scripted you to say all this. It's magical, to be honest with you, that you've jumped on board with the. Some people, when they meet Ray for the first time, They have absolutely no idea what to make of him, but you embraced him, brought him into your house. What can I say? With that, he's gone. All I see is some very rare Serengeti grass on the floor, and what looks like a broken battery case from a game child. There you go. That's the sort of animal that he is. There's really only one thing left to ask you, gentlemen, and it's what you're hoping to play. And I'm going to skew that round to our guest. Elliot, what are you hoping to play this gaming week?
Well, I am really, really intrigued by a backpack house. So it's probably going to have to be Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story. No, it's not going to be that. It's definitely not going to be that. It's going to be. It's going to be. I'm going to be live streaming that knockoff Pokemon game because just some really interesting things happen, and very little sense seems to be made of anything, and there is no real purpose or aim that is clear to me. There is no achievements to be had or goals to be scored. And that's the kind of game that I like to sign myself.
Are you reading a review from our iTunes page of the show? Is that this dodgy Pokemon knockoff?
No, I found your Tinder profile.
Oh, God. Okay, well, I'll have to extend my range a little bit, but swipe away. Not only age, but geographic, no doubt. Oh, GT.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to play this gaming week, fine, sir?
More Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice.
I should be getting near the end now. Must do my Pac-Man score for Digital Monkey. Sorry again. I know I apologise last week. I will upload a score this week. Some more Echo on the Dreamcast because that was a great choice. I'm really enjoying that.
Okay.
Bit more Eastwood DLC if I get time on my Switch. And then just try and explain to Mrs. RGT why I've got to spend a fortune buying an old PS3 game, taking photos of zebras in the Serengeti.
It'll make sense to her immediately.
I hope so.
Tell her something Elliot's involved and she'll sign that off immediately.
I'll try and get a receipt for it. We'll claim it back on tax, George. We'll claim it back on tax. That's important.
Ooh, okay. Mumsy, unburn the accounts.
That's work-related expense.
Okay, we might need to start the accounts again, but that's okay. Elliot, before we dive out of the show, I just want to give you a chance to let everybody listening at home know exactly where they can find you. Obviously on YouTube with your 2 channels.
Yeah, but it was near the Rice Bowl in Jersey, but I've moved now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than the physical presence that you may exhibit, where can they find your awesome kick-ass content?
Well, the awesome kick-ass content that I am making is on the Retrofuture.
Okay. That's your channel on YouTube. No.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I'm looking forward to making more kick-ass content very soon because everything. Not to leave it on a low note, but everything that I said did really impact my creativity throughout that time. And my first video back of this year was my 600th video. And I spent 6 weeks making it nearly every single day. And it is by far the best piece of work that I think I've ever done that represents where I am at with content right now. Just at the first step of where I would like to go with stuff. And so I'm really, if there's ever been a time to look at my channel, it's now because it's just getting started.
Fantastic.
Well, to those that don't know you, they've got an awful lot of back catalogue to work through. So there's plenty of getting to know you inside and out, from top to bottom. Fecal matter hanging out the bottom of an iPod speaker, the lot. And obviously you have social media pages as well, Instagram and Twitter. Is that where they find you? You find you under your name?
If they so wish. There's not a lot going on there at the moment. But yeah, Twitter it's all the same. Just the Retrofuture. It's there. It's not.
And sorry, just to add in, Elliot has actually joined our Discord as well.
So if there's a reason, if there's never a reason before, there is one now. And may I just say, Elliot, before we dive to the outro, thank you so much for giving us the time. It was great to have such a multi-topicked chat with you. Not only
I have had a great time. I've had a great afternoon. It's been a pleasure to get to know you both. And if there's anything that I can send you or anything that you guys want to ask me, you can fire away. You've got my number.
And you don't send us things. We're going to send RGT, get the printing press out, send him at least a t-shirt, God damn you. I'll get the Ponsonbury checkbook out. I'll pay for it all.
But if you want to play some wacky, weird games, if you've ever seen anything that you want to look at, I've got too much stuff. It's a bit of a problem.
I won't comment on that.
Well, I just want to say, you're such a wonderfully talented young man on every level. You've got the looks, you've got the lingo, you've got the skills.
What?
Yeah, take it. You've got the looks, you've got the lingo, you've got the skills. You're a fascinating person to watch. You've been even a more fascinating person to speak to. Your sense of humour and overriding good humour has dovetailed into our show perfectly, one would imagine. And, we're very grateful for that. Your humbleness in reflection on what you've actually done in your short career, may I add, that's been insanely successful, and some of the people that you've magnetized to your orbit as well, is a really glowing indictment of what an absolute bloody good egg you are. Long may you continue to be as successful, and if not more so than you have been. Please stay in contact with us. We've enjoyed every single minute of getting to know you more intimately. Is that the right word? Yeah, we're going to use it. You a little bit more intimately, and give the listeners of the show the chance to see a little bit behind the curtain. I know that at least one or two of them were, very quite excited that you were coming on, and I think that the insight you've given us is certainly the insight someone would want to know if they were an Elliot fan, and that's really kind of you, and for giving us the time that you could have been quite happily spending applying stickers to your Honda.
I've actually been really looking forward to this. I love getting to know people. So while you think that you're interviewing me, I'm having my time filled with two very interesting people that have a whole thing going on in their lives, which I got to be a part of for however many hours it's been. And it's been amazing. Thanks. So thank you very much.
No
all right. Well, thank you so much. And that's all we have time for this week, listeners. As always, thank you for your time. We look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts.